we call members of Congress immediately after. This was not the kind of mission that you can do congressional notification on. It was a trigger-based mission in which conditions had to be met night after night. We watched and monitored that for a number of days. So it's just simply not the kind of mission you can call people and say, hey, we may do this at some point in the next 15 days. But it's largely...
Okay, wait.
Yeah.
Couldn't you just agree with Congress on the plan first and just be like, hey, we're going to do this. We don't know when we're going to do this, but this is going to happen. And Congress can either just say yes or no.
Well, that's the usual process.
So here's the thing, right? Like the way the law is currently written is that they have to inform Congress within 48 hours. If they're doing, like, not a war, like a single strike like this, they must inform Congress within 48 hours, and they did so. They actually did so.
Okay.
The issue is that if it actually is going to be an occupation, then Congress has to get involved, and currently Congress is not involved. So we'll have to see what happens over the next few days.
Are they still on furlough?
Well,
holidays?
it is going to be an occupation because they're going to be running Venezuela.
Exhaustion, annoyance, pain. Anyways. Hello. I am Single Pirikael. It is Sunday, January 4th at 1:22 p.m. where we are starting today. First, Happy New Year to everyone who can hear the sound of my voice. Secondly, we are on the eve of when we are going to watch Carl become a black bull and fuck the utter dog shit out of the position of my opponent on the 5th on Wick TV over their topic of supposedly there has never ever been a woman or man, never been an activistic threat, never been a browbeating woke moralist that has made gaming into a place full of annoyance, toxicity, and general depravity. I've also gone to a birthday dinner, and the birthday dinner for my woman and collective roommate and somebody else that also had a birthday on the same day went fine. I'm generally fine, in case anybody cared or was asking. I am somewhat elated to be here doing what I'm doing this year. Because this year, I'm going to do something entirely different than what I did last year. I'm not going to wait onto the hand of other people to make shit happen. If I have a desire, I'm going to set it up myself. And I'm going to carry out with it myself as I see fit. Because I do not see a reason why I am waiting for other people to sit down, listen, and do their job, when it has been shown to me multiple times that when I ask someone for something, and I communicate to someone for something, that they don't follow through with their words and their actions. So, this is going to be a more ruthless year. This is going to be a more ruthless year. Everybody can get it. I mean everybody. If I see something retarded on the internet, I'm going to start bashing the person for it. If I see a person who I know say something retarded, I'm going to fucking criticize them and bash them for it. I've already written 3 different bombs, 2 of which are actually targeted towards something said by Devin. If I see somebody act like a fucking retard and decide that reality isn't what exists, like I will be doing tomorrow, I'm going to put it directly up their ass, and I'm not going to be nice about it. When we set a time, when we set a date, when we say we're going to do something at that time and on that date, it happens then. I know some of you guys have things to do on those days, and I'm not faulting any person who has something important to do. Just know that if you tell me something, I'm going to remember it, and I'm going to remind you about it. And the parties that I'm thinking of off the top of my head, I've already talked to them about it. And they're like, no, Carl, actually, you're right. You're based. You're serious. You're true. And also, on that same note, because there were some issues that happened during the crossover stream, that was due to no one's a factor other than that they had made plans, and then when I discussed it with them afterwards and asked what went on, some people were sick, some people actually were contracted to be somewhere else and they had forgotten, some had been contracted to be somewhere else and they just didn't know what to do and what was going on with the other people that they were working with. We're just going to remap the event for another day after the holidays. Closer towards, I guess, the middle of January, I guess. I still got the stuff set up. I still have the things to give away. I'm pretty sure multiple people have stuff to give away. At this point, whoever comes. I'm done. Like, I'm very done. Whoever comes. I don't care. It's more important that everybody gets a chance to get to know each other that want to be involved than me trying to pull my fucking hair out, trying to get multiple people to stick to their word. Because half my fucking problem is that I'm losing my goddamn mind. Because I'm forgetting things. Because I am having to remember everybody else's shit. Except properly my own. And wake up sleepless. And with a bad taste in my mouth. About it. It was almost a little bit of a problem because of the fact that I couldn't read a fucking calendar. Because my head was woozy. I actually need to see a doctor within the next week and a half. But that can't happen until at least like a week from now. Very least going to the medical emergency room and seeing someone about this cough of mine. Because it has been happening often enough that I have now noticed that there is blood in my saliva. Every time. It's not based on like food and shit. So, knowing that I've been waking up with exhaustion, that I have noticed that apparently my breathing is getting worse. My snoring is getting worse. Which means I'm not getting enough fucking air when I'm unconscious. It concerns me. Anyways. Less about me, more about everyone else. How are we doing today? Oh, you just finished broadcasting for her? Cool. You're doing better because you've had your coffee and you've eaten something. Cool. You've been working your ass off. Boy, do I know it, because that's half the reason you haven't been able to show up. Now, you've been in as much shit as I have, so I'm very much worried and or concerned on your part, too, bro. Stardust actually liked that tweet. But yeah, the long and short is that 2026 is a year where Carl is going to be an entirely different person at this point. There's no nice way to go about it and to put it. Like, there is nothing different about what's going on other than I have ran out of patience for what happens. Suppose this might be something that I've had to do for a while, and I've just been very resistant to do it because the anime protagonist in me is like, no, of course we can all do this together. It's the heart of the cards. The heart of the cards. But you know, gets to a point. Because you're the reliable guy. You hate being that guy. I know what it feels like to be that guy, because I, in fact, am that guy. Oh no. The dye is on your shirts. I've gotten stains on your fingertips. You've become a witch! No! That's the worst thing, Tusky. Do you have the acetone to get it off? Who knows? I need to write a tweet. Alexa, play Blackened by that one band. It'll wash off eventually with soap and water. Okay. I'm the kind of person that if I get some kind of thing on my hands that doesn't properly come off, I will scrub until the skin comes off. I'm curious to know what Dev did or said that made you want to speak out. When does he stop doing things that makes people look at him and say, can you stop being retarded? Let's start there and work our way backwards. I'm not going to list a line of things. Because even as I am putting my foot up everyone's ass, when I see behavior that is slighting, I am not going to air all of my dirty laundry, but I will break down the idea of what I'm talking about. So it goes like this. Let's say you're me. Somebody who says that they're your friend. Says that they're going to do things. They're going to set stuff up. You're going to do stuff. You're going to hang out. You're going to spend time. Work on stuff. And they would do so with the intention where they put together an entire video announcing and shouting out you, your channel, and other people's channels. Right? This person makes those statements. They make those claims. They make those agreements. Time after time after time after time after time after time. When a person keeps making choices and decisions to basically do anything else other than the thing that they said they were going to do, you have to start believing that this person doesn't actually have the intentions of doing what they're saying. It could sound even a little bit hypocritical, because you could, at some point, take examples of things that I've done and apply this to myself. But the caveat here is, sometimes I'm just a little bit fucking retarded. Just a little bit. So much so that I'm single-mindedly working on making a thing happen, that when someone comes to me about something, and it is a slight oversight, it is the difference between an oversight and an actual mistake versus a cognizant choice, where it is clear there is no misinterpretation. It was the decision. Anytime it could be something like, do what I said I'd do something completely irresponsible. That is in no means along the lines of any of the things that I said that I was going to do just for myself, let alone other people. And consistently, the irrelevant choice keeps getting made. It gets to a point where you have to look and understand that your friend might not actually be your friend. At best, they might be a loose acquaintance, because that's not what friends do to each other. Sometimes you have to have hard conversations with your friends. It's even into the case that I actually talked to certain members of administration publicly inside of DevCourt about this. I didn't say anything about what I was going to do. I just simply said I'm going to start having to make decisions about it. Because I can see the behavior that he's doing, and I can see his actions of what he's taking. How he's deciding to word things himself. How he's deciding to act, his particular antics. And I'm not the fat man's keeper. I expect nobody to be my keeper any more than I expect myself to be someone else's. So, when I see this kind of action and behavior happen frequently. To the point where they just decided to forget that there's this entire thing called context. And they go off into the fucking woods with some bullshit. I have to be the one to speak on it. There have been multiple times that I've done so as a bomb. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. Because it's in this viewpoint that I'm tailoring my behavior with the people that I'm talking to and hanging out with and choose to spend my time with. I don't know where this path I'm on is going to take me, but if it takes me to where I think it's going to take me, then so be it. I am not the kind of person that stands idly by and sees someone do bad behavior and not point out that it's happening in front of me. Not having out in front of a fucking train to prevent it from happening, but I'm not going to see it and say nothing at this point. Because I've said something passively, just in the concern of, I don't think this is something you should do. I don't think this is behavior we should be engaging with. And I was called a moralizing browbeater. Both for the parties that were engaging in it and the person who is engaging in it as well. First, I need to write this tweet. Ugh. Schnot. A straw that broke a camel's back. More like an annoying situation that made my hair a little bit too greasy, a little bit too nappy. More like that. When it comes to me really doing what it is that I want to do, seek to do, or have to do, I'm more of a workhorse. Boster. Like, if I have to work on something, and I'm destined to work on something consistently until that thing happens, I can be very single-minded in my pursuit of the goal. But that sometimes works to my detriment. And because it works to my detriment, because of where I am the kind of person that will be annoyed when I do not see results that reflect my efforts. Especially if it's supposed to be working with other people, which is a problem. For me, personally. Because on one hand, part of the reason why I have this opinion is a sense of limerence. If I'm supposed to be doing something with someone else, let's say there's 4 people involved, 5 people involved, 6 people involved. Insert any number, X plus 1, and the plus 1 is me. If we all agree that we're going to do the thing, and then people do anything else other than that thing, I see that as 3 things, but 2 things mainly. 1, I am someone's second thought. I'm not someone's first choice. That irritates me only in the sense of, 2, with the people who it should matter for, I am their second choice, third choice, fourth choice, fifth choice. There are multiple things that come before me in that person's decision matrix. Which the third thing that makes that annoying is that priorities are not aligned. So I'll give you an example. I say I want to work on a project. I say that this project needs to work from this time to this time, because the goal of the project is to fill an amount of time and amount of space to give myself work, to give the person who's working on it, which was Callum, work, and to get the people involved to improve the culture of their social interactions with each other, to try and jumpstart a reason why people want to hang around each other. people kept making decisions in that decision of that group to basically do anything else other than focus on that thing. To the point that some people were dragging their feet. Talked to them about it, talked to them individually about it, talked to them as a group about it, tried to handle it. Shit still happened. People are human. I'm not going to bash them for making mistakes and oversights. But that project that I wanted to do didn't get completed in the amount of time allotted. Things then happened to the point where the person who was editing that project, which was Callum, has to now hunker down, and he has to focus on keeping himself alive, because I'm not going to let him starve himself to death doing something for me effectively free. Didn't let him do that when I paid him consistently. I'm not going to let him do that for free. That project now is going to either be one shelved, or we'll just have to start all the way over again. Because all of that footage is taking up and burning a hole on my drive. There's no reason to hold it there. If the project is unfinished, might as well start over and try again. Either with a different group or a different group of people. Because what that tells me in that situation is that despite having set up, understanding, agreed to it, people still made decisions other than what was supposed to work towards common goal. And that's while working around people. There were some people in that scenario, in that investment, that they were really suffering. Like, they didn't tell me. Simply because it's like, yeah, it's not a big deal. So, showing up, attendance, affinity, all those things, those are a factor to how I make decisions with people when I talk to them. That doesn't mean that you can't have parallel play. That doesn't mean that you can't have he and I are doing a thing, and then we're going to link up here, and then we're going to split up here, and we're going to do blah, 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 right? We noticed that last year with the people that I chose to talk to and chose to get invested and involved with. Even though the door is open, I can't force them to, like, come out of, suppose, say, their retirement, or to shift all of their plans out of the way to make time for something if they already have obligations. What I'm talking about is, we said we were going to do something, we made a plan for it, we sat down, wrote it down, broke it down, and here the fuck you are in a place fucking fighting with retards on Twitter. And the argument is that you're then using those arguments to then make videos about it. Videos that aren't the thing that you're supposed to be working on. It's not what your audience is asking you to do. It's not what they've been telling you to do, or what you've been promising to do. But it's still content at the end of the day, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, it does. It does to me. Male, female, transgender, I don't care. A person's word matters to me. When a person can't keep their word, I'm not going to keep wasting my time. I move quick. But I also am annoyed when a person can't even take time to be patient and say they're going to do something. Like, you show up to do something, and because it doesn't happen as fast as that person might want, they're going to be like, oh man, like, it's not working out, I'm just going to leave. And it's like, you didn't even try. Hey, this is your first day of attendance. What are you talking about, you're going to quit? So, examples of this. With multiple people. But I have plenty of examples of this with Dev. That I'm not going to keep making excuses of, well, maybe they'll finally work it out. Maybe there's something that I don't know about happening in the background that's preventing it. No, because they would have told me. I'm very much in the position of, if you wanted to, you would. So, calling a spade, if I wouldn't tolerate this behavior from a glub shitto, and I wouldn't tolerate this behavior from people who have been going past my boundaries to disrespect me, and then hide behind my social mutuals, to then use the authority that they get granted from them to antagonize me and put me in a situation where I don't feel like I can talk to that person without there being a problem. Because if I call them out of their fucking name, then this person's gonna be like, bro, why are you being weird? When I'm the one being socially aggressed. I'm not gonna handle this when it's a single individual to myself at all. Personally. No. Because it's just tolerating more bullshit. So all those things being equal, that is the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. At the same time, that also means when we come across the shit like what I'm going to be doing on the 5th, if somebody challenges me to a conversation, or to a debate, or to a discussion, I'm murdering them. I'm burying them with their words. Because I know people know better. I really hate people being performatively retarded. Certainly, that's always been a pet peeve of mine. So all of those things collectively together. Did I send the tweet? Yes, I did. All of those things together directly affect everything I do moving forward. Because it shouldn't be like pulling teeth. Because again, if you wanted to, you would. People have obligations, people have things they gotta do. That's fine. You sit down, you make a plan to do something, you know that it's gonna happen consistently, and you decide every time to do something else, I have to assume, and I have to accept that that is the decision that the person's gonna make, and I have to move forward accordingly. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, that means that I'm waylaying other things that I could be working on for the thing that's not happening that I should prioritize to make possible. And rather than the obligations that I have towards myself and to all of you, my audience, I'm putting myself on the line for somebody else who is there on their honor and their authority they aren't checking, or that is here on my honor and my authority isn't showing me that honor and authority, and thus I have to now check. That probably sounds retarded to some of you, but I hope you understand where I'm coming from. Especially the on your honor shit. If somebody interacts or engages with me, and they are there on behalf of somebody else's honor, that person represents the honor that other person has towards me. So let's say there is a content creator, and that content creator has a partner, or a wife, or a mutual, or some type of polyamorous situation or some shit. My connection to that person, and them to me, is that I am there on that person's honor. If I misbehave in their social environment, and I do so without having a reason, that is a poor reflection of my character. That person would have the right to disconnect themselves from me. Vice versa, if that person is there on somebody else's honor, and they are disrespecting someone like me, connected to that person who's connected to them, my affinity for that person is higher than that individual's, especially if it's a Yoko Ono situation. I can't check that person without asking that person to check them with me. Right? We all follow? Can't walk into a man's house and slap his wife for calling me out of my name. That's the husband's job, to defend me. Also, in a social situation, if somebody who's my friend acts like an asshole, it is my job to check them. Too many examples of the Type 2 situation have been happening, and into the situations of the Type 1 situation, too many examples of it have been happening, where I have to keep doing things frequently that I'm at the point where it's beatings, 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 beatings. I'm giving beatings first. Said with peace and love, but I'm beating people now. So for what it's worth, people don't understand what I'm saying, or have continued to take in information from outside sources because they don't actually want to ask me directly, either because they're too scared to or not. Goes along with the amnesty plan, basically, that I'm going to sit down and write out sometime between this month and February. Because a lot of people not getting information from the mouth, from the horse's mouth, is causing a lot of it. Because, of course, people can say whatever they want at a distance. And when they say that thing at a distance, it then becomes a reflection of the conversation that person can have in general. Especially if that person is speaking, and I hate using the term, in bad faith. It is not the case that most of the time I deal with situations that supposedly are being said in the authority of bad faith, but there's a lot of times where it's very obvious to me that a lot of people are moving with the speed of some shit in bad faith. So it's like, I don't know, man! I'm not a person that responds very well to people talking outside of the neck. Of course, somebody could see what I'm saying here as me talking outside of my neck, but I'm not. I would say this, and I have said this, and I continue to say this kind of shit to people's faces. That I silently observe everyone and everything around me. Simply because I find, having taken my godfather's advice, it is much better for me to silently observe how people are behaving and to then move accordingly than to not. So, I'll show you an example of what I'm talking about, because I can see two of you waiting on the side. However, Marcus was here first. I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about in the terms of the bombs that I've been writing. Now, when I mean a bomb, I mean it's not quite a hate list or a hit list. It is just a very large response. An extremely large response that would take a lot of time to read. So, for example, this is the bomb that I wrote in response to this opinion that came from Dev. This response is very long, but the idea is basically this. There's been this thing going around where people have been trying to get Destiny and or Hassan Piker to debate Asmongold about his viewpoints, because obviously Asmongold soaks up a lot of radio waves, and they're very angry that they don't have his reach and they don't have the ability to command his time. On the tweet, this is basically people going back and forth about whether or not it's worthy to talk to a person who is a over-opinionated activist or is a bad actor who specifically wants to monetize your time for 2 minutes of hate or what have you. Dev, doing what Dev does, did this. So I wrote this in response to that. Because for me, something that's very obvious about debates a lot of the times that you're dealing with them is that they tend not to be useful. And the reason why debates tend not to be useful, kind of like the debate I did my first time on Wake, is that most of the people involved are not there to conversate, they're there to yell at the top of their lungs and be aggressively incendiary for attention. That's not how I choose to carry myself. I choose to carry myself with the intention of trying to make sure everybody understands where we're standing, where everybody knows where they're at, that we're all on the same fucking page. Very much the same way about how I do content. Because I don't let people go misinformed about anything. This was written specifically about the fact that a lot of the times, people will say that you should do things like debates with people because you have a disagreement with them, so you should talk it out. And honestly, the answer about this is you can witness from content that I've done, covering things like the Tactical Templar conversation with Anthony Gramuccia. You don't give people like Anthony views. No free clout. And the reason why is because he's not there for a proper conversation. He's there to make money off the situation. The same way that would happen with Destiny, because he's already done that, trying to utilize it of, oh, well, I can't get to Asmongold, so I'm going to get to his fans. And he already did that, literally yesterday, on Anything Goes. And it went exactly as it would go with people who have no the fuck idea what's going on, whatsoever. Ultimately, debates are useless unless you're capable of putting the person on the line. So, those of you who are aware and have actually read what is going to happen, you know that I'm going to be in that debate on the 5th, this week, Monday night, 6 p.m., because this is the exact thing that happens, or is going to happen, because of Relevant, because he did the same fucking thing. Now, of course, I'm going to call him on the fact of, no, Jack, don't say that. I've had enough with a lot of people. Dev is just one person whom which I'm giving them the opportunity to come to me because somebody has already told them on my behalf, even though I didn't ask them to, that Carl wants to talk to him about several things. Some of these things should be discussed on camera. Some of them probably should be discussed on camera because I'm very knowledgeable and I'm very aware. But this is exactly what Irrelevant did with his content. I will debate anyone who breathes air and believes that women are feminists have ruined gaming like Asmongold believes. I present to you plenty of examples, but I have one particular one that literally just came up this week because it was the release of a skin in the thing. Bookmarks, folders. Yep. And yep. So, this right here is a thread from a person who is attacking Necros. Necros is he is a Marvel Rivals streamer. One of the #1 Spider-Man DPSs in the world. Then he did an entire challenge to prove that people who were complaining about supports were bad, and then became one of the #1 supports in the world. Did a lot of content, very good at the game. He makes a joke about Lady Loki. Namely, turn around and I can remove her cape. Because it's like, damn, Lady Loki's fine. She's shaped like a fucking dime piece. I want to spend it. Put that shit on the table, bro. Women doing what women do. Very much in the tone of what we're going to be discussing. Because Irrelevant's saying that this never happens. That this kind of action never happens. And it's been happening ever since Overwatch. I remember writing articles about women that were a part of the Challenger Pro Scene League. Doing this behavior, where they go into the game and look for opportunities to get angry at people. Plenty of examples that have happened in Valorant, with it being the case of how IShowSpeed got banned. Somebody baiting for content to find someone that they can victimize themselves for, and self-victimizing and aggrandizing themselves to be on a platform, to then call for that person's fucking removal, ban, or otherwise. In this case, it was something happening on all sides of the conversation. You can see that this is something that was reacted to by Savvy. You can then see that it was not just women, but also men, too. Because here's Flats Overwatch. Flats Overwatch is one of the fatter white male players that also plays Overwatch as well as Marvel Rivals. Contrary to his title. All trying to come down on somebody because of a fucking joke. Not left, not right, not dead of center, but all people aggressively trying to bully other people because they can't handle a joke. Happens all the time in gaming. Can't handle banter, can't handle jokes, can't handle behavior, and when it's happening on the spot, the person then tries to say, bro, why are you being weird to me? Or, we'll make you happy that you finally stop doing this yapping. This stuff is the backbone behind which I'm going to be putting my foot directly into Irrelevant's ass on Monday about. Because obviously, it doesn't take that much to go find examples. There have always been examples of this happening in all games. Doesn't matter if it's tabletop, doesn't matter if it's online gaming, doesn't matter if it's multiplayer, doesn't even matter if it's friend groups. But this level of social contagion, this shit, especially the framing of people who believe that women are feminists have ruined gaming, and they can't somehow agree that this is a social behavior that has rotted conversations to a null. I'm done. If I have to be the one that has to be the one who can call a spade, and has to call this motherfucker sir live on air, so that everybody can understand where we're all coming from, since we should be done with this level of browbeating and this moralism, which I'm pretty sure is the case online. Then okay, alright, okay, I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna be loud and obnoxious about it, but I'm not gonna be nice. I've long since watched too many of my games get victimized. I've long since watched too many of my friends get victimized by these social contexts, where I then have to cut them out of my life because they decided that acting like this was okay. Or the general space thinking that this is okay. That being said, again, you were here first. What's going on, Marcus?
Hello, hello.
How you doing?
Life and all that. I've been dealing with nonsense and watching as the world burns, my usual. I've been looking extraordinarily into the recent political behaviors that have been idling both left and right of the United States about Venezuela, and looking at that, and I have one thing to say. Y'all, they need to just shut the fuck up.
And this is in reference to Maduro being captured?
Maduro being captured, Hugo Chavez's crypt being blown up, things like that.
Yes, the military operation that was shorter than the coming out gay scene on Stranger Things.
Yes.
That is not a joke, people. That is actually real.
Yes, that is 100% real. But what transpired was that I, of course, looked to how social media was taking it. And of course, the usual suspects were showing up, which proceeded forward with them having a whole shit show. And then actual Venezuelans coming out and genuinely saying, shut the fuck up, you don't know what you're talking about.
Oh yes, my personal favorite. Wife leftist informing you, the Venezuelan, that actually your country is being raped for coal and oil while people are in the street saying, Kumbaya, the fucking dick is dead. Or at least captured.
Yeah. They straight up were like, hey, listen, we don't like being, the American, or well, as they dubbed it, the Yanks, bombing our shit. But comparatively to what we have had in the past, yeah, we'll take that. We will take this, because for the last 25 years, Venezuelans have actually been oppressed. And now that we have, this person, captured and shit like that, everybody's celebrating. So, yes, I understand. Yeah, that doesn't look alright. And yeah, sure, there is an ulterior motive, because, everybody loves their oil. But Russia and China were no different.
I think for me, the part that I care more about is that they are trying to tell people that live in this state that we know have been under this level of occupation from a dictator. The people that would go to rallies and say no kings are angry that a king was deposed. Maduro was not elected by the people. He stole the election.
There was a coup, yes.
And so, if it were right-wing figure, they would be happy that he was deposed. But because he is effectively a communist, the activistic communists have come out of the woodwork to bitch, complain, moan, and just like it happened the last time something like this happened, they all became political experts overnight. Conveniently so. Which I find ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's like, yeah, sure, I don't like a whole lot of politics at the moment, because, a lot of people tend to be extraordinarily, what's the word? People tend to extraordinarily be, like, very, very much so, extremely volatile, and they usually don't actually understand the entirety of what the political atmosphere is, or at least in that other area. I'll take for instance my friends. I have friends who are extremely left-leaning, and as much as I understand that, yeah, hey, you guys don't like everything. You guys don't like, you know, the right and all that, and you consider the right to be Nazis, sure, you can think that. You are very wrong, but sure, you can think that, because they will throw everything out there to say, like, yeah, that's the bad guys, fuck you. So why'd I bring them up? Well, they reacted to how Venezuela was going, and they reacted the usual way that you would think that a very left-wing individual would react. With, of course, yeah, we shouldn't be in there at all.
Well,
But
unfortunately, we don't get that choice. We keep being voted to be world police. As much as people dislike it, and I'm not a political commentator, so there are some things that I don't know the word of, but I know what I'm describing, having been a government official. As long as we, America, are treated as world police, and we are dealing with people that would do actions like this to the countries, we have an obligation, as that world police that people keep asking for us to be, despite the fact that many people would rather us be America first and worry about what's happening in our homeland domestically before we worry about foreign soil. That compels us to have to look at this as what it is. So, for those left-wing individuals that are looking at this and saying, look, he's doing the thing, he's going to try to make himself king for life. Talking to Trump? No, that's not going to happen. I don't think this action that he has taken with his cabinet is something that you should be looking at as anything other than a, wow, I can't believe that. Well done, Trump moment. Because, what did you want to have happen alternatively? You wanted there to be casualties? You were worried about it being a war, a forever war, rather than the operation that happened as it did? Because I've heard the takes. Supposedly it would never happen, it would never work. 4.5 million soldiers in Venezuela. What are they at? It appears to me SEAL Team 6 has done themselves a whoopsie-poopsie and ran a fucking Dishonored on your ass. Perfect stealth. Shadows. Never saw him coming. So what it's worth.
by the way,
Go
there
ahead.
was no civilian casualties.
No civilian casualties. No American soldier casualties. Just Venezuelans. Namely of the organization under Maduro. Like, what's the alternative? What did you want to happen? What would you have preferred happen? And it's like, well, I would have preferred that he not be there at all because no kings. It's like, okay, cool. Shut the fuck up. You're not actually concerned about what's happening here. Seems relevant, seems stupid, seems dumb. So at the end of the day, it's like, okay, it's a thing that happened. I'm tired of being inside of military history and watching history being made around me, but I don't really get to have a choice in this matter because at the end of the day, I'm a civilian. Does this directly affect me in some way? Probably somewhere down the line concerning oil prices, which then affects everything else that'll be affected by the oil economy. But unless somebody can present that argument to me, I don't think I care. Because half of the problem is that for what should have been concerned, concerning things like Venezuela, I have mutuals, like Caleb Prime. He and his brother have been trying to get out of the country for years because of Maduro's stranglehold, making it impossible for them to leave. But recently, as of last year, he was actually able to get into Italy with his passport to get him and his brother out safely. And the way that I see it, if we wanted to play world police, and if we wanted America to properly do what it needed to do, had politics, democracy, and the vote been held up by the country, and not taken over by a despot, then Caleb wouldn't have had a reason to leave his country. Because there's policies that had been happening for years when Maduro's control was responsible for being why his mother couldn't get the medicine she needed to live from her chemotherapy. Or him having to constantly deal and shuffle his water rations. I know he's been celebrating since he heard the news. Granted, he was already free from the regime, but it's very much an Arrhenius situation, in my eyes, concerning it. He looks at his country, hoping that it will be a place that he can be proud of and maybe even return to, despite the fact that it's definitely not the case. It is a third world shithole. But for the people who are still there, and or have pride for their country, you're going to tell me that a white leftist awful is going to talk to us from Michigan, from Ohio, from Georgia, from Atlanta, from fucking Alabama even, wherever in America, and they're going to say, you shouldn't be proud of this because military and war hawkism. Despite the things that have happened because of Maduro. How many people have suffered under him? Get out of here. That's all that really has to be said. It's an upset, angry thing to be angry about because it's basically team sports ball to those people.
Yeah. It's, like, don't get me wrong. I fucking hate war. I fucking wish that we didn't have to, butt heads all the time. But because of how humans are, so on and so forth. And people have different ways of wanting to do things. That is the most simplistic way I can possibly put it, because I'm not going to get into all of the motivations and ideals that different people have because of X, Y, and Z, of generations past, what they desire for the future, so on and so forth. But what I do know is that despite all this, despite everybody going and looking at this and saying, "Oh my God, what the hell is going on?" This is a good thing. No matter how it's framed, no matter what you do here, this is a good thing. This is a good thing because of the fact that, hey, the people are free, and that's what matters. That freedom right there is all that needs to be said for me to just basically move on. If there are people that are oppressed, I don't want them oppressed. And that is all. That is all that should be said. At the end of the day. I do have one more topic, if we are moving on from this topic, but if you want to continue.
No, what do you want?
Wow. This next one. Hey, so AI has gotten a little bit bad, right?
I'm
putting that very lightly for everybody. Yeah, I, as somebody who works in mega corporate America, because I work in finance, all that, it goes without saying that I see the fucking writing on the walls happening more than anybody else does. And oh my God, it's fucking bad.
RAM prices, am I right? RAM prices, am I right?
Yep. Not only that, just how everything is being operated as such. Because basically, the minute that an audit happens for those companies, and like some way, somehow there's a whistleblower that says, hey, there's books being cooked, the economy's fucked. I'm just saying right now. That one person will just fucking open the fucking curtain, and out comes the light. Also, yes, RAM prices are inextricably just fucked right now. What was once, hey, one to like $1,200 for a PC now is now about $5,000.
Also, that somebody can animate a herd full of big butt black people running in the Sahara.
Yes. Or, several corporations try to use AI to farm your information. That too. One thing that I have noticed about this is that there has been of course, the discussion about Vidal and Neurosama and Evil, of course, versus all of the other AI. And that's an interesting topic that I very much so understand. I and I want to understand a lot more, especially for what the why and how people can like that particular AI versus the AI that corporations are doing. And the answer is simple. One is made with the idea of actually pushing ahead of the future, into the future. The other is literally bleeding a stone.
Well, you're in the finance sector, so you can be able to answer this question that I have. Let's say you take something that's happening, like the Minnesotan fraud from the Somalis, right?
Yes.
Let's extrapolate this out to my country, or my state's GDP, which is tech shit. When you have a person defrauding a business in such droves where they are manipulating the marketplace and or receiving a shipment of or selling shipments of computer parts to the degree in which they then go towards scam organizations and scam foundations, like bot farms for scam callers. What would you say is the more important thing that happens with the manipulation of AI within the financial sector? That it's being used as a way to better straight line the internal process of finances and business to do things like having learning models that can flag for fraud, or that these parts and these funds are then used to defraud people in such direct fashions that it requires state, if not federal, intervention to start looking at the numbers of these books to figure out how the fraud is being occurred, where it's coming from, and what have you. I asked this because yesterday, before we tried to go to the party, I needed to go to Walmart because Walmart is where my mother chooses to send me to have our utilities and bills paid. Part of the system. They charge you like $1.50 plus the face amount of the bill. Be able to use it using their money services. There was a person.
Yes, there are money orders and everything like that.
Money orders and also the direct processing. I don't know exactly how it's done. I know that they have to scan it, and it's a whole process where they are like the go-between for paying the bill to the company in question.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
there was a black male that was in line. Apparently, he was targeted by a scammer who was trying to get him to send that scammer money that used an AI bot front to do it. The Walmart system detected that this person's name, not the person sending the money, but the person who was supposed to be receiving the money, was in fact a scammer. And the system locked itself down for 24 hours to prevent that man from sending that money for him to become a victim. And everybody was confused why he didn't understand that, because he just thought it was like a normal thing. But he walked away confused and annoyed that he couldn't do the business transaction he wanted to do, despite the fact that he was being saved from getting scammed. That I have to wonder exactly where in the financial sector this entire issue with the learning language models for AI applications really come from. Because there's been a serious change in how banking is done, especially during COVID, where you went from face-to-face tellers to, it's still a face-to-face teller, but they're using basically a video phone to discuss things with you. And it's actually been to the benefit of the financial sector, because then you don't have to have as many in-house representatives that are not handling things that require a face-to-face confirmation. I had to deal with this when I wanted to do the stock market, which I have been able to do because that whole thing fell through. But say you have a person who wants to come in for a home loan, and you have a person who wants to come in to make a deposit, and you have a person who wants to come in to set up an account for their child so that they can begin saving. Or a person who is making a regular bank drop for a Fortune 500 company in the area, such as that of Total Systems. The banking industry has become very sophisticated in how they stop that level of fraud. Because even with Total Systems, they had a problem where, from the mailing room, a person could be able to steal a person's identity by just simply finding the mailing checks of the cards that are supposed to be sent out for a person's use, and that person basically getting defrauded before their card has ever left the fucking factory line. Just as much as a person getting a person's bank information or getting a person's bank card and it having been set up for automatic swipe or tap, where that person didn't have to put in a number or put in any kind of transaction confirmation, like your PIN number, where it's just tap, swipe, and go. That I've seen plenty of fraud cases happen just for my bank alone, as well as other banks as well. Shout out to Wells Fargo! The worst to do it! Where do you see AI having a picture with these language models with applications towards actually making the sector better? And have you actively seen examples of this being, like, the case of somebody who's old in finance is like, I've never seen some shit like this, because they're just seeing a high-level scam that just is draining people dry, like a hentai protagonist.
Yeah. Okay, so here's where things get interesting. So the banking industry doesn't know what the fuck to do with AI, really. And I see that as somebody who, looks at AI, looks at the banking industry, I'm going like, you could definitely do something with this and be innovative with this. But from what I've calculated and what I've seen about how the banking industry has gone through this, they have, and I shit you not, all they have done is very minimally just made it as a search engine. So, with that being said, that's already just, all that money right there being used for AI and all that being developed, doesn't sound impressive. It isn't really. What I can see for, like, the banking industry and how AI is going to be used with it, if used actually properly and not in the way that it has been being used, because there's going to be a shape up one way or another, and that either the corporations actually re-innovate and they actually do something with it, and in that case they have to get really good fucking faith with the general populace, because everybody does not like AI. They do not like AI. They do not like it at all. If it's causing this much strife, where you're having mass economic issues, where it's having mass environmental issues, not many people are gonna like that. And I think that it's so bad that you even have like the whole issue of, like, PCs. This was a mass indicator for me. It's like, okay, so you mean to tell me that not one, not two, but like 5 different companies have now just decided, hey, we're stepping out of the market to focus on AI solely? One of which is 1/3 of the RAM producers in the world.
Mm-hmm.
The big 3, really? That's insane. So the reason why I bring this up is because when it comes to how AI is being used, it is being misappropriated to an insane degree. So much so that I would venture to say that it's very much so it's almost like you want to take the toys away from a kid. That's the best way I could possibly describe this. As for how the AI is going against people like fraudsters, things like that,
You're eating straight eggs, no
our
bacon.
systems
What are you doing?
are most of the banking systems in the world, or I should just say the United States, because I can't speak for the whole world as a whole. In the United States, the banking systems are very, very, very slow to at least how AI functions. AI is very strong. AI is very good at what they do. AI behaves like a computer, though. And they will do as they are told, not how you want to wield them. So when you have generative AI that is used in this manner for like fraud and everything like that, it can be very, very useful. I mean, I could think of several different ways that it's been useful. Shout out to that one time that one person thought that they were being called by Brad Pitt to help fund his cancer treatment. That is a very that is a very fucked situation. But how fraudsters have been going about that is that our systems have been very iffy about it. I'll tell you what. I know this is anecdotal evidence, but this is from me. So, from time to time, as working as a banker in the banking industry, I sometimes actually do some telework. I do telework a decent amount of time, just because sometimes you get backed up, we need help, so on and so forth. I had a woman come in. Now, this was about a month ago, asking to take out $60,000 in cash. For those who don't know, $60,000 is a fuck ton of money. And she wanted it in cash, not as a check, not as a cashier's check or a money order or things like that. Not as a bank check, as cold hard cash. And the reason, and I legitimately asked her, and this was the legitimate reason that she said, I'm buying gold from Dubai. I am buying gold from Dubai.
Does a bank even have the ability to have $60,000 on hand in cash to hand away to a civilian?
Oh, I mean, we do, but that's insane. No, we're not fucking doing that.
So
go ahead.
So when you ask this, it's like, is there a protocol where that automatically triggers, where it's like, okay, ma'am, are you sure that you want to do that? Are you being pressured in any way to put this money out? Because it just sounds like bullshit. The second that I heard you say that.
Yeah. No, when the minute that I heard that, I was just like, oh, okay, so she's either A, insane, B, is being coerced for something. And yes, what Fatal Crest just said, the bank could just say, no, we're not doing that for you. This was, and of course, you wanna know what's the ironic thing? For those who don't know, I will slightly dox myself here. I do in fact live in Minnesota. I do know what's going on over here. It's a fucking riot. But our system actually caught that even as well, because when our system basically straight up said, hey, this is a possible account takeover, because we're very aware of how things go from time to time. Our systems aren't necessarily the greatest, but we know how things work. Especially for shit like that. That was flagrant. Usually, we don't give out that kind of money to just anybody, especially just one singular person. We usually give out that money to businesses. Businesses usually ask for large some money, especially for that. I know some of the reasons as to why some construction companies usually pay in cash. Some usually because of los ilegales, but I digress. Yes, oh god. So there's something like that. That's one example out of many. I've had just in the last 2 weeks, right up before Christmas, I've had several people where they were coming in and they were looking to cash a check. And our checks, the checks, we have a checking system. We can look at past checks and inspect them like properly and just go like, hey, something ain't right here. Especially with how our system works. There was one big incident that was arising from in Minnesota. Not the fraud thing. However, that fraud thing actually has been going on for a long while, and it's about time that it got called out. Admittedly, I have a very opinionated feeling about it, and I'm not going to get into it lest I be called very flagrantly racist for it, even though I have to kind of say it's not really racist when it's kind of a fact of just, hey, we're being proven that, hey, yeah, y'all are kind of doing some fuck shit. But when it comes to a majority of just how like AI is being used finance-wise, it's not being used in the greatest ways. Being used fraud-wise, it's getting very dangerous. It's most of the time, tellers and bankers are the first line of defense for anything of this magnitude. We quite literally are the boots on the ground to watch how things go.
Mm-hmm. Has there ever been a point in your career, while you've been in the banking industry, where you've had to deal with a open case of confidence trickster fraud?
Yes. Yeah, where somebody was impersonating other people. I've faced that numerous times. Either from the minute of, hey, partner of person who is using debit card or credit card is trying to get money out of said account. Usually debit card. And we turn them away, even though way back in the day, it used to be where, hey, we're just closing your account, which I kind of wish we had that because it would straighten up a lot of people. But yeah, no, we've had multiple people who've impersonated others. We've had multiple people who've come in trying to be somebody else and try and say that they're somebody when they're really not.
Give me 1 second. I'll be right back.
Sure. Let me read the chat for a little bit, just because I'm off Warframe just for a little bit because I need to.
Okay, continue.
Down. Oh, okay. So, I've had moments like that. I also had people to where people have called me over the phone and asked, hey, are you able to give me such information? I'm a translator for said person. I said, hey, let me have you call the official phone number line and transfer them over, because I'm like, you know what? This is a good way to dissuade them, and it's also making it not my problem. It's a very serious thing that I've had going with a lot of times in my career. Most fucked up one that I've had was that there was somebody I've helped in a lot of elder abuse cases, which that is a very real thing. I've helped an older woman who wanted to take out, I believe it was like $90,000 in cash. And of course, this is like, nothing beats the fucking gold from Dubai. That was hilarious to me. It is the funniest thing to me ever. I actually had to get my manager for that one. But for this one, I asked the legitimate question immediately, saying, ma'am, are you okay? And she went, yes. And she kept saying that she was fine the entire time until the very end when I asked one last time. And she said, listen, I feel like I'm in danger. I am getting concerned. And I had her sit down with somebody else, say, hey, let's have a talk, do this, we'll have this. And what happened was that there was a person impersonating her nephew, apparently, saying that, hey, I need this money, need it quick. And they started to intimidate her. And it got very bad. Started doing a lot of stuff. We had police come in because obviously elder abuse cases are very serious. Take them very seriously, as we always should. And at the end of the day, she was fine. Checked in a couple weeks later when she came back in. She's like, and she thanked me. She thanked me personally, and I was very happy about that. That, like, you know, I was able to help her out, and she didn't get scammed out of her life savings. You have any other questions, possibly?
Since you do live in Minnesota, have you ever actually dealt with any of the Somali businesses? This is just me being curious.
Many.
Of the Somali businesses themselves, like coming in with this money from the state and having set up this the line of credit or whatever that they then use to spend it on. And do you have any stories about that?
I do, actually. So again, like I said, I've worked on the solar side before. It's not just like entirely lines of credit that they're basically getting and all that. It's whole business. So how it works is that they basically have to fund it legitimately through the state. Minnesota State requires and gives out benefits towards money or towards businesses that help in home care, child development, and specifically basically healthcare. Those are the two to three primary areas that they help in, because we are basically, well, I'm assuming we are/were going to be that we're going to be the forefront of like medical, because we usually are, because of the Mayo Clinic. Mayo Clinic is something extra, but I digress. How the Somali businesses have been going throughout here is that a lot of them have been very much so putting into their accounts various like the largest amount I've seen has been like $200,000 to a specific healthcare business. $200,000 into a healthcare business, and usually that money tends to stay in there. There are some other businesses that get $25,000, and that money goes away pretty immediately. I've always thought that was weird. And then I started looking at how much they're paying their employees. And then I realized they're using their employees as well to kind of funnel that in, because none of that money goes anywhere close to... In case you're curious about how like where their money goes or how their money goes out, their money usually is used through money wiring services. The most prominent one that I can tell you is a money transfer service called Banana Pay, and that's in Minnesota.
Okay.
So Banana Pay is usually, because of how they do it, for one, there are several reasons why people in I don't trust banks. Don't get me wrong. I don't trust my bank. I don't trust a whole lot of banks, because some of them do some sus shit. Shout out to Wells Fargo. That's before. The thing that does happen though is that what they will do is that they will demand cash. they would like, hey, I want to cash my check. And they're very rude about it. I'll be the first. I'll just say that right now. Somali people are extraordinarily rude and are extraordinarily they also racial profile me because I look slightly Hispanic. They try to speak to me in Spanish, which I don't know a whole lot of. But anyways, they don't really speak the language. They often behave like, hey, you are in the. They behave the same way that corporations behave towards money. You're in the way of my money. And usually they don't like to follow the rules about that. But when it comes to the business aspect, specific businesses, the businesses usually have an issue with either they are very questionable, like they're constantly overdrafted, or they're constantly at like a very low balance. And admittedly, the banks are kind of oblivious to that because they kind of can't just basically be like, hey, this is weird, we're not going to interact with you a whole lot. Or like, hey, your business is getting really nasty behavior coming out of the way. Thank you, Hellfire, for that comment.
I mean, I have several. First off, what the fuck is Banana Pay? Secondly, horror, I'm writing down details as I'm listening to him!
Yeah, no, I understand what he's doing. It's totally fine. But Banana Pay, like I said, Banana Pay is a money transfer service. It's been legitimized, but it's basically they're one of the go-to places that has been used for this. For a lot of the services has been done. I don't want to say it's the main culprit, but it's one of many. There's many money transfer services all throughout, specifically Minneapolis. So there's a whole lot of places that can seem very iffy. It's not just one area; it's multiple areas. It's kind of like you're trying to find you're finding a lot of the symptoms. Not a whole lot of the problem, the actual problem.
Mm-hmm. Is it kind of like... Ow, my throat. Is it kind of like the Spanish tiendas that specialize in all of the multinational communication cards for calling on the phone lines internationally? Like, this is one of those ones that specialize in doing it for people of a particular background and origin, and it just happens to be the case that the Somalis like using Banana Pay because it's the most convenient for them?
Yes. Because I know exactly what you mean. It's the call today now kind of like we'll send your money through things like that, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. That is very much the case. I think they are Banana Pay is specifically one of the few places where they actually direct transfer United States currency to Somalia.
Have there been businesses that have operated for anywhere between as a little under a year to establish that they are a legitimate business and that their money is at least passable as legitimate, and that it's not the front for what is basically a multi-family scam operation?
Elaborate a little further.
So let's say you have a family. They own that tienda / business, and they specialize in basically cashing the checks of the nationals, sending money in and out of state to other families of these nationals, and that they have built themselves up over time as a legitimate business, not just a front for money laundering.
Some have. The issue that arises with a lot of these businesses is that some of these businesses have been some of these businesses started right before COVID happened, or when COVID just hit. So I want to say circa 2019 to circa 2020 is when they've happened a lot. Some have been a lot longer. I know Banana Pay has been in Minneapolis for has been around for like 20 years. So they're legitimate. Or at least they have legitimate purpose there. There are some businesses that do come out of the woodwork that are like at least a year or two old. And some of those ones are they kind of keep their head to the ground. So this is my theory for this. There is next to no proof of this. But I just realized my voice is like slowly giving out. Give me 1 second. Good old lime and cucumber. Anyways, helpful. So these businesses usually, they're usually ran by like a few people. They have their employees, but they're not like family ran. What I mean by that is that they're usually made out of like 1 to 2 people that start the business. They have their employees. They move on. So there's that. It's not a fact of like, oh well, now it's a family business, so therefore like the kids and all that, they kind of like take care of X, Y, and Z. No, it is legitimately 2 people that like do this.
Mm-hmm.
But most of them have started like 2020, so some of them are about like 5 to 6 years old at the latest. Some are way older than that. I know when it comes to like there's a Somali restaurant that like is right next over. They used to have a bank account with the bank that I work at. They don't anymore because they were doing some weird stuff, and they often were rather aggressive to the tellers and the bankers. This is before I joined, mind you.
Okay.
So there's that. So I think I see what gears are spinning in your head and where this is leading to. Yeah, it's very suspect.
So the thing that I find interesting, especially from having looked at Nick Shirley's investigation, this kind of fraud is something that has to be registered with the state, and thus the state would be all over their banking checks if they were receiving money for businesses like this. And I had imagined that some people working at these businesses, if they were receiving a paycheck for being at something like the daycares, it would be on their checks also, yeah?
Repeat that again, I slightly had it.
The businesses that come and use this kind of service, you can track their information, and you can see where the money came from, all the way back to the person who originally wrote things like basic paychecks. Especially for people working at these kinds of businesses.
Oh yeah. The only time that it gets obfuscated is when they ask for cash.
Right.
Because the banks do not track that. When you come in and you ask for your check to be cashed, we cash it. End of story. There is no it was just like, this has been cashed. That's it. Which I normally feel like that's a very easy way to get out of things, because it definitely should have more information than just that. For example, why does it have to be the fact of like, hey, this check has been cashed? Why not just, hey, this check has been cashed at this location at this time, not on just the date?
Mm-hmm.
That's something that I've had a very understandable critique of the industry as a whole. But I understand why it came to exist, because a lot of people were are still very paranoid about banking businesses, because, I mean, the banks have not been very forthright in what they've been doing.
Yeah, gotta be like the Jews. Gotta keep the money underneath the bed, because you can't trust the industry not to steal your money. Even though occasionally the time of where people will come up with news stories, report on news stories, that banks accordingly, when they make and they take out that monthly deposit, what they're actually doing is that they're playing your money on the stock market and then returning some amount of it to your bank account, some type of shit like that. I've seen and heard plenty of stories about things like that. But I'm more concerned with the idea of when you have businesses like this, where it's become an established fact that there is a particular denomination class amongst a minority that specializes in a type of preferred service, that it's not something that you could just easily be able to track through their spending habits in the financial marketplace. Because the financial district is very much a creature of habit, just like anything else. The druggie has to get his money to get cigarettes from somewhere. The chronic Zen user has to pick up his preferred favorite tabs from his local gas station for somewhere, right? And with the banking scams that happen, where you can have skimmers and RFID steals and all of this other technical shit that starts reaching into spycraft, I have to wonder exactly how simple the low-tech forms of fraudulent behavior really gets captured by the industry, to when you're talking about a type of Somali business basically operating as a literal trap that the financial sector can't be able to see that, because who's then transferring the monies? Certainly banks are going to do businesses with the government as well as state as well as private officials, but I would have to imagine that you would start asking questions when a person comes in and they're making $400, $500, $600,000 deposits from a business name that legally online should reflect in the financial district that, hey, this business says it is permanently closed. This business says that it has its doors shut, but supposedly is open and is registered as an open running business that is supposed to be earning this much from having this many maximum capacity children or maximum capacity businesses being held. So, I give you an example. Night schools, like driving schools, or educational facilities. Do they do business with the banking sector?
Yes.
And they have to track that through, like, the tuitions that are paid and that they then receive as monies from the people who sign up for the programs that these schools offer.
Correct. Yes.
Wouldn't it be suspect that a business consistently keeps cashing money, but you can't actually find any identifying information, even with the scanning of the product coming in, that you can't see that it's coming from Bob or Jack fucking Smith or whoever the fuck?
So let me stop you right here, because I know where that's leading to, and you're gonna reach a dead end with that. So we do have something. We have something called the, and I shit you not, they actually have this called this. And if you know what I'm about to reference, it's going to fucking piss you off. We have something called the BSAA. And this is the Bank Secrecy Act. This is something that every bank has, no matter what. We flag shit. We flag shit all the time, and we keep track of you. We know when. So when I was trying to kind of jump off, hopefully at low tech, because I have several examples of low tech things happening where a lot of stuff kind of flew on by. For starters, let me just say this right now. Somalian people have basically created their own ecosystem inside the very places that they live in. Everything that they do is hyper isolated. And when I mean hyper isolated, I mean isolated. Everything is done through them and only them. They do not do it through anybody else. They do not trust anybody else. I will say that right here and now. What do I mean by this? And this is, again, anecdotal. Minneapolis is a large place. It is called one out of the two of the Twin Cities. It is considered the prime place to be for at least the Twin Cities. St. Paul has nothing on us in Minneapolis. Why do I bring this up? There are not, if I can find on, there are within Minneapolis, there are not one, not two, but three different three different Somalian-centered malls. in Minneapolis alone. These are, I'm not talking about like strip malls, I'm talking about like nearly mega center type malls. These are large places that they go to eat at, they go to sell their goods at, things like that. In fact, one of the places that they have is a place called Midtown Market, otherwise known as Midtown Exchange. I'll get to that one in a moment. Now, Midtown Market, I'll even get to it right now. Now, Midtown Market is the place where there is a multitude of multicultural place to be. It is, I think, about a good 50% of that is African or African-centric, and it's pretty fun. Downstairs, by the way, is a DMV. It is the busiest DMV inside of Minneapolis as a whole, and I pity any government agent that works inside that DMV. It is fucking atrocious.
Would this business happen to be called Midtown Global Market if you were to look it up online?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the exact one I'm talking about.
Okay, I'm looking at it, and this thing looks like fucking Carnival to me.
Would you believe me if I told you that there is an apartment complex inside that area?
No, I can believe you because I'm looking at it in Street View.
Yep. I actually work relatively close to that area. It is part of the infamous Lake Street. And why it's so infamous is that Lake Street is not for the kind of heart. And you might be wondering, Marcus, what do you mean by this? If you zoom in close and go to the Midtown Global Market near there is a Popeyes right next to there.
Oh yeah, we saw that in the coverage. The Popeyes was literally next to one of the last places that Nick Shirley went to. And I looked at that and thought, no, wait, that's that fucking close to normal businesses and nobody notices this on a regular. Like, even the niggas would notice and be like, there's something wrong going on here. Because it looked like a fucking dive bar that was a hole in the wall. And you're telling me that's a fucking, that's a fucking kid, kid's daycare?
You'd be correct. The only reason why we don't say anything is quite literally because, and I shit you not, we mind our business.
Because, like, when you look at this shit from the street, it just is a giant nondescript building that says Midtown Global Market. It's got nice glass doors. It's got fucking East Lake things for you to like secure your bikes to. It's across from a normal street. The particular view I'm looking at is across from the U.S. Bank. You go further down the road, it's got a liquor store, another complex. I don't know exactly where the fucking Popeyes is from here, just from looking from this view angle, but
if you go actually down the road slightly, or you go back into Google Maps as a whole, you will actually see, and like zoom in a little closer, you will find it. It is very close. It's literally across the street. Go outside. Go out, like press exit out of there, not in street view.
I'm dumb.
Press X at the bottom, top right. Or better yet, share your screen on Discord, if you could. Okay, zoom in directly to Midtown. Yep, there it is. To the left. Look up.
Oh, here it is.
Right there. There it is. It's literally across the street. I'm not joking.
So if you go here and look from this angle,
Oh,
here's the Popeyes.
That's from 2021.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
They have not updated these posters, but yeah, here's the Popeyes. And then if you look at the street and you go a little bit further down, because I guess they were constructing this at the time.
They were renovating. They were renovating because Midtown Global Market has been in Minneapolis since since the early 2000s, actually, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so this entire business here, the Midtown Global Market, is this entire center chunk here. And then here's the Minnesota DDS you're talking about. This entire fucking building just looks like it's a hub in the center of many other hubs. And you would never tell that this entire fucking thing is just basically Somali Central, despite the fact that you've got things like the Somali Museum, the Lake Street Council, the Simba Craftware, Otako Toro, Game Time Sports Bar, Sabai Express. It would look like this is an official government building, but it just happens to be owned by a group that does shit. And then the Midtown Exchange parking, as you're talking about, and then just a bunch of other fucking businesses nearby that all suspiciously are migrant food. Like this to me does not look like a mall. Like when you say a mall, I imagine like an actual fucking mall, like the Columbus Mall.
Now, I'm going to show you another mall. Are you ready?
Sure.
I'm going to show you Carmel Mall. I'm going to DM you how to spell this, or how I'll even just copy paste it into the chat over here. It'll be inside the live broadcast chat. There's Carmel Mall. Now, if you want to talk about Somali-centric, that is Somali-centric. Or you can look up 24 Somali Mall. Either or.
On Pleasantville Avenue?
Yep, that's the one.
That looks like what I expect a Tienda to look like.
No. That's not it. That's Carmel Square. Hold on.
Because here's another Popeyes.
Yep, another Popeyes. You're noticing a pattern here, aren't you?
Yes.
But, that's not all of it, to say the least. Hold on. It's not showing the entirety of it. What? God damn it. I have to check it now, because...
The street view might not be up to date, but there are pictures from the Carmel Mall of all these businesses.
Yep. That's what it looks like inside.
It's like, imagine a hood right across from a gentrified fucking apartment complex. And then you go inside, and it's like, how do I best describe this? It's like a halfway house that's got a bunch of businesses packed in like fucking sardines.
Oh, that's why they're not showing it. Okay, so Carmel Mall was in development. It was in development around when were these pictures taken? Or at least for Street View, if I'm not mistaken. Street View shows it as 2022. So if I were to show you, if you went back onto Street View and go onto where it says West Lake Street and Pillsbury Avenue, you would see it was still in development, but it's fully there now. But this is what it looks like inside. Yeah, that's it. That's the entirety of it. It is massive. It doesn't call attention. It doesn't call attention to itself. It does. It just does. It's there.
Yeah, it just looks like a fucking residential corporate building.
Yep. And it would be simple to see it that way. But again, this is every single shopping mall in, like, every single store in there is, and if I'm not mistaken, they're all Somaliland. Now, another one that I also have to go and find is also 24 Somali Mall. And that's a whole other thing.
Hello, Aaron. Like, from what it looks like to me, Tusky, this has been a 4 or 5 year development cycle of Somalis building up their own parallel society to what's happening in Minneapolis, and no one is able to pierce the veil because the second that you try asking questions, they basically just shut you out entirely.
Mm-hmm.
So, they just... Who exactly do they establish their line of credit with, then, to do all this?
Well, the main suspect is would you believe me if I told you it was actually corporate banks that were still going about this?
I believe you. Corporate banks wouldn't care about anything except green.
Yeah, there you go. That's the answer.
So, they're just... The money that they're producing, it's not coming from, or at least for the legitimate ones, it's not coming from scamming people. Or necessarily the government. It's just them circulating their own dollars around to each other and then handing it off to the corporate.
Pretty much, it gets cycled in and pretty much washed with government money, because the government money is basically just gives them a fucking check, because there's a reason, and it dawned on me a long time ago when I was still like helping out and everything. It dawned on me why they never took direct deposit. And I do mean this. You will very rarely find a Somali person doing deposits, or at least a older Somali individual. Why do I say older? Because it's a lot of the older individuals that do not want to do it, or at least like the range that I can say for it is from the ages of like 28 all the way, like 28 plus, pretty much. All of them. And some of the younger ones. Some of the younger Somali people, unironically, will just cash their check, get out. For the businesses, it's harder because businesses have to be one-to-one. So when one-to-one, because if it's basic standard one-on-one, which people for some reason don't get, when you are given a check and it's written out to somebody else, let's say John Doe has a check for Jane Doe. Jane Doe is not physically present. The bank will not do any business there. Mm-hmm. They will not, because that can get them in trouble. It can get the individual more in trouble, but so on and so forth. Same works for business. Businesses have to be one-to-one named. So, or they have to be known as doing business as so-and-so. So, if a company named, let's just say, where would be a good, let's say like a home health care, a home care company, and by the way, when I say the term home health care and home or like home health care or home care or health care, they're one and the same.
Okay.
Juanwick, do you really want to know the answer to why we allow people to do this? It's because the leash that is tied to it. I'm sure if there's still fraud, I'm sure it's dealt with, but fine. So far, everything seems above board. I don't care unless we're migrating. That seems like a bunch of homes. If there's still fraud, sure, I'd like to deal with, but so far, everything seems somewhat above board. That's the thing. It is above board. That's the thing about it. It is above board, but it at the same time isn't. It's kind of like looking at an uncanny valley, if that makes sense.
Like, the existence of the place is not the problem, and how they're making the money is the problem. Because you cannot tell who legitimately worked to become a citizen or to just live there, and then you don't know who is a person who's receiving illegal monies. And if you were to ask that person questions, even if they were not a person involved in the scam operations, you would effectively be activating a device that would then seek to root out the source of the leak. And this person would be ostracized from this fucking hovel that they have designed in the city. It is a one-to-one exact parallel society that functions as a living organism that will protect the people that belong to the parallel society, including the fraudsters. Because more than likely the fraudsters are directly at the center of it. It's no different than a mob.
Yeah.
And having now seen the businesses, now it makes a little bit more sense. Because certainly if you just look into the fucking scam operations of the daycare and the healthcare, it would be only half the picture. Because this is the part that I don't, that's pretty obvious that it's fucking fraud. They say they have these many children, but there's no evidence of them being there. So for me, when I was watching that video and I kept giving the accusations and the criticisms that I was doing while watching it about how he was doing his investigation, the other side of this is, so what if it's actually just Somali children that they're watching? What if every single time that they were saying something to him to the degree of they would not want to watch your kid is because they were saying they only watch Somali children that come from this hovel?
Yes.
And
now you're getting it.
so then the question you would have is, where are the Somali children? Because 9 kids brought together for a fucking photo op does not make a organization. Sir, let's even put our fucking pants on, right? Let's put our fucking racism pants on and our thinking caps on, and we think really hard about this. You've got a parallel society with people that do not interact with normal U.S. customs and businesses in the place that they live in. At that same time, they've got building complexes as big as this that clearly have functioning and operational businesses where they are selling things. Clothings, objects, books, holy books, food, services, technology, because Lord have mercy, this just looks like every single fucking hole in the wall that you have in the mall, where it's like an iFixit store. You've got all of these businesses that are operating in this parallel society that is no different than if you were to be going to a fucking Mexican tienda and asking for their special chicken del pollo. They're all operating above board. They're running it as you would any business. Especially in the fact that this looks like it belongs to an unironic fucking shitty mall. They're running these businesses like this. And you have to ask yourself, okay, if this is a legitimate business, that means there's a legitimate owner. If there's a legitimate owner, then that means there is a legitimate person that belongs to this family. If this is a business that belongs to an owner that has a family, this person has to have a place to send their kids. This is a lot of fucking stores, guys. If these kids have parents and families that they belong to, and they're not just random people being brought in from outside of the hovel, just inside the hovel, then they're sending them to these businesses that only do business with Somalis, only healthcare with Somalis, only rent services for apartments with Somalis, healthcare with Somalis, groceries, dinners, outside services, fucking birthdays, fucking rentals, only with Somalis. That's a lot of people, that's a lot of family, and assuming that these motherfuckers breed like pests, and I know that you know as much as I do, Somalis breed like fucking pests. That's a lot of kids. Where are they fucking keeping the kids? It couldn't be indoors. Well, it could be indoors. You could have somebody that, like any other person that's registered to care.com or just runs a part-time daycare out of their home. You could have kids around doing that. Hell, like African Americans. When was the last time that you went over to your fucking girl's spot and she does your hair and she's watching 5 kids plus the kids she has with her baby daddy? We can't talk, but here's the problem. Do we have a parallel society hovel where we have all of these businesses that only serve black people at all times? On this side of Stone Mountain, Georgia. No! So
Go ahead. Sorry.
So they have these businesses set up in such a way where they only talk to each other and only work with each other because they don't trust the government. Sure, libertarians, eat your fucking hearts out. But
no, it's not that they don't trust the government. It's that they only trust themselves.
yeah, so like they don't trust anyone. They will take money from the government. They're living on what is very obviously a little bit of some subsidies, because certainly not all of them are fucking American rich.
A little bit. Oh, that's fucking hilarious. So it goes a lot deeper than one might think. Because you think that it's just you think it's just like, oh, it's just like, you know, the government checks that. Like,
I don't know what to think. What I'm seeing here does not, my brain does not have the ability to compute how they're not just doing other stuff. That's just me. That's my thought line. Because I have seen nobody show me investigative material that shows the society themselves functioning normal. You know, there's no walkthrough of, hey, welcome to Commander Street. Here's how we do our businesses. Come eat our food. Come meet our children. Come get your nails done. Come and see the art of threading, and come remove your vestigial hairs, ladies. I've been looking for commercials of it. I don't see it.
Another one such area that they also have been using, which to some mild characteristic, there is a reason why they do have that, is also EBT or SNAP benefits.
Yeah.
That is another area which has been relatively suspect, because that is also checked with a fine-tooth comb. But the thing is that comparative to how you and I might use EBT or SNAP benefits, where we get a card and that card is basically used for specifically foods that are SNAP eligible, you want to know what they do? Because again, high corporate banks, mega corporate banks, you're making them go straight through them. Take care of horror, by the way.
I horror.
Do you want to know what they do instead?
What do they do instead?
They go to ATMs and just take out the cash through the EBT cards. And then they move on.
And then doesn't that go against the money that's on the EBT card registered to the account owner?
Yes. Meaning that the EBT card is rendered basically the criteria for having an EBT card is that you have to make a certain amount of money that is shown on your bank statements. Emphasis, bank statement.
Yes. This is where I wanted to go to, because it's like, okay, so you've got these businesses, and they make all this money. So obviously this means that all these families, and all these people in this perilous society, they're not like welfare queens, but they're also not like Sunni princes that are just squatting in Minneapolis because it's easier and cheaper than living in the fucking lands owned by Ayatollah, or in any other hovel that would belong to anywhere else, because then they would be sticking out like a sore thumb, and they'd be a target for getting robbed.
Yeah, and you'd be right. Now you might be wondering, where is that money? Well, remember how I mentioned Banana Pay?
Yes.
All of that money is going directly back to their home country. Mm-hmm. Where their home country is sitting on it, where they have it secured in an area where they know it will be secured, and where they know that the US dollar is so goddamn good that they can literally just live off of it for months and years on end. Mm-hmm. and live like kings and queens. And this is where you start to see how all of the cycle is produced.
Including how they get money to the terrorists, how it showed up in their fucking funds. Fucking illuminating. So, I imagine the banks wouldn't have anything to do with it, except for the actual, here's the payments that show this person is eligible for EBT. Right? They would only be able to say, here's this person's banking statements. This person does not show an amount of money that would say that they are not eligible for funds. Right? Mm-hmm. They don't control
because
the funds.
the criteria for EBT is that it shows on the bank statements that you are making less than, or at least in the average months earned, and like how much you've earned and things like that, that you have in your account, and you're holding in your account, that there is, in fact, I believe it's if you have less than I think $3,000 or $2,500 dollars in there, you still qualify. And you might be wondering, that's kind of high for at least what SNAP benefits provides.
Yeah.
Or Social Security, for that matter. Much like the Cubans, they do business, but they do business with other people. See, the thing is that while the Hispanic community of Minneapolis does business with everybody, they do business with everybody much as they... See, the thing is that every other business does business with everybody else. The Somalian businesses very seldomly do business with other people. They do it because they don't have a choice. That's the key difference. Some businesses don't do it. And that's what... Yeah, exactly. That's legitimately the reason as to why you get some of these things happening. Because when you have such cases to where you have basically a pseudo-symbiotic, almost, I don't want to say parasitic, because that's a bit far.
I wouldn't say parasitic, but, you know.
They choose not to, because they don't like... For starters, Somalian people don't like African American people in the slightest. They look at us and think, wow, you guys are stupid.
For one reason or another, that may or may not have something to do with racism.
No, it 100% is racism. I've had it to where, when I was, again, more anecdotal stories, I've had it to where people who I have been to school with, who I have worked side by side with, have legitimately been outwardly racial, or like racially profiling me, been racist towards me, have even insulted me or even attacked me solely because of the fact that I was African American.
Mm-hmm.
And some of those stories were so much more about black people just being put towards black people. So yep. So it's not like a an instance of, how do I say this? It's not like an instance of, oh well, it's black and black. It's quite literally because we were born on a different base of the earth. They have reason to believe that they are better. And unfortunately, because of how certain people carry themselves in Minneapolis, they kind of get proven right. I don't like saying that like that, but it's kind of true. Hell, I've had it to where people... Yeah, I know, right? And people... I mean, hell, one of my black coworkers, she went to a Somali restaurant where they unironically spat in her food.
Mm-hmm.
So, So, in case you're curious, I do notice that you did ask Aaron that where the EBT front was going with. I wouldn't go for that. I don't trust them. Yeah, no. Again, it's an ecosystem that is relatively self-sustaining now. Not a whole lot of businesses around here are done with a fine-tooth comb. Because of the fact that, A, the fine-tooth comb is dealing with a bunch of other nonsense, especially in Minneapolis right now. Because a lot of the other things that have been going on is that Minneapolis is very resistant towards ICE because they have been catching legitimate people and taking them away. Even for my bank, the bank, we've gotten alerts basically saying, hey, if ICE wants to come into the bank, they need a warrant. Because some agents will just outright just wait outside. I can tell you right now, they're only taking Hispanic people.
I'm sorry, I'm writing this down, and just there are multiple things happening in the background, which are related to my debate on the 5th.
Is it that migrants may be getting benefits if they're legal? Well, that's the thing. Minnesota is also a sanctuary state. Minnesota is a sanctuary state, much like how Los Angeles and New York are. Is that maybe getting benefits? Migrants and immigrants are getting benefits regardless if they are Minnesota is gay. Yes, tremendously. Illegal immigrants should absolutely be deported. Yes, they should be. Then we should make it cut me out of their pocket. I'm not sure what you mean by that, but Minnesota's SNAP benefits, how they work, at least for here, is that they do not care if you are in fact a immigrant or migrant, as long as that you are here and that you need support. If I go to SNAP benefits right now inside the eligibility, the only eligibility that they care about is for one is that your household income matches the house, like basically if you are below the household size, like how here Carl, could you put this up on the screen if you could? You will see how SNAP benefits work in Minneapolis, or Minnesota I should say. So
Minnesota Department of Children, Youth and Families, SNAP benefits. What am I putting on the screen exactly?
Scroll down to eligibility, please.
Okay.
Specifically this. Specifically eligibility and the table that they show. Thank you. So, as you can see right here, this is the sole. This right here, that's all you need for household income and household size for this. So in case you're curious how SNAP benefits is used in day-to-day for this, these, by the way, these guidelines were updated very recently, as you can tell. That right there, that is how it goes. So where there might be like one breadwinner of the house, they, for each person, be it dependent or independent, because they live in the same household and their income is below a certain factor, which is shown on their bank statements, which is shown which is asked for quarterly, you get a very interesting effect. And by very interesting, I mean, hey, SNAP benefits comes in, this person is asking for their statements basically every 3 months, and they're asking for 3 months worth of statements. It happens every single time, like clockwork. I should get warrants, but Minnesota is... The warrants are... I'll tell you this right now. There are warrants for people who are still have their visas here, and eligible visas. They are illegal visas, but they're still taken. That's what's going on. So they're looking for people who are just fit the description, not people who are legitimately or how do I say this? The people who look the type. It's profiling to the nth degree without actual the evidence there. Get what I mean?
Yes. What I find very interesting here is that these numbers, they compare very differently to SNAP benefits in Georgia. Like, very differently.
Mm-hmm. I should probably ask this, but how do they compare?
Well, for one, when you go to Georgia.gov when it comes to the SNAP benefits, they have multiple apply for SNAP benefits / learn more pages that are just simply nestled into each other inside of the official links. It tells you where to go, it tells you who to call, but here on yours, you've got walk-downs for the supplemental program for the department, along with the apply now, get help applying, frequently asked questions, reporting requirements. For Georgia SNAP food assistance benefits, it will give you a chatbot, it will show you how to apply, and then it will go down the steps to get it, but you do not get any of this information out of the door. Step 1 is you gather the information. Step 2 is you apply. Step 3 is you have an interview with the case manager. And then step 4 is that they then start discussing things. And then if you're applicable to receive your EBT transfer card, that you then set things up with an additional Georgia gateway, which is then this fucking piece. And all of this is official shit that is required by the state, as it is an official state website.
Yeah.
No point in time does it tell you any of this information that it's telling you here. Notice, I'm clicking through the windows. It has not shown you a single graph of what you have here on your applications. That's by design. Because they review it case-by-case basis. Why does Minnesota have a graph that would allow a person to do, I don't know, intentional fraud?
I don't know. I wish I could tell. It's most likely because of the fact that a large swath or a large swath of the people who have who asked for a simplification got so hypercritical that this happened. And people who got legitimately confused at it, which I know who the people got legitimately confused at it, it was the elders. It was the elders of the families. Because the people who are asking for SNAP benefits usually are the elders of the group. And the elders of the group asked for that as a whole. Now, there are quite literally legitimate people who do need help with this, but if you start to notice, this can be infinitely... This is just quite literally an infinite money glitch right here.
Like, I don't...
But...
I honestly... The thing that is, like, flabbergasting me right now is... If SNAP eligibility is something that is as simple as you go and you apply and it tells you your range, you can find out for your household size if you'd actually be able to apply for it, like this, concerning the actual household income. Is this listed by month or is this listed by year?
This is listed by month.
Okay. So, you've got eligibility planned up from 1 household to 10 household. And these are guidelines that were enacted October 1st of this year. It also helps that every applicant can get supplementary security income, general assistance, or supplemental aid. They get transition year childcare and childcare fee assistance. And they also can do this while participating in a divisionary work program.
Yes.
So, they have access to services that'll help them get a job. They have access to services that'll help them take care of their kids. They have access to services that'll help them get health aid and general assistance for things like they should cover bills. I'm looking to see if it does. Can't work to support themselves, income, resources, benefits. Oh my god. So...
Also problem gambling, mind you, is also on there.
Oh, that's fun. So, they give a maximum benefit of $350 for a person living, and $128 living in a licensed residential facility or receiving substance use disorder treatment services for addiction. And that this is emergency funds that are available if you cannot pay for your basic needs, such as shelter and food, and that your safety and health are at risk because of this, along with your eligibility. Which, okay, I can understand that. That's fine. This also then applies to workers' comp, SSR, and SSI. So, they get access to EBT. They are able to be applicable and also apply and receive workers' comp. They can receive Social Security. They can receive the EBT on top of this, as well as access to emergency services and emergency financial funds. And they're listing it for households within what would be below poverty number conditions. Like, nigga, we ain't making it out the hood conditions.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, from what I saw, the people who would be receiving these benefits are able to go to what is effectively a upper middle class business that continues to function like a normal upper middle class cultural society / neighborhood. So they're not hurting for shelter if they're able to have families and businesses that are running in a place like Camera Mall or the Midtown Exchange, and they have clean streets, they have plenty of housing nearby. And we haven't even covered whether or not they actually have housing on the fucking sites. Do they have housing on site?
Not, well, on site for Global Market Exchange, but I do know where this is leading to, which I'm pulling that up right now, because we now get to the housing authorities.
Because my brain is just caching how much potential fraud could be happening here, just based on a normal person would would expect, especially if you're comparing it to what we do in my own state.
Mm-hmm. So you know what the public housing authorities are, correct?
Yeah.
These are basically the people. I don't know if Georgia has a similar thing to it, but I do know that Minnesota and Minneapolis do. So, allow me to show you the prominent one, which is this. I'm going to send this over to you. I'm going to send this back into here. Here you go. Here's another link. This is the MPHA, otherwise known as the Minneapolis Public Housing Authority. And you can go through there. Now, I'm going to let you peruse through here. I'm going to have you ask a question. And this question is going to be framed as, how much do how much do these people pay in rent? So go ahead and go through that site, because you may see the pieces connect.
Strategic plan for new normal. Waiting for a 5-year strategic plan for 2027. Arriving on the heel of the agency's previous strategic plan to enduring a terminus 5 years following pandemic shutterings, reshaping blah blah blah, reflecting the new reality, blah blah blah. Over the next 5 years, 6 primary goals: provide, preserve, deeply affordable, high-quality housing for high-rise residents. Build new and expand partnerships with federal, state, and local governments, in addition to philanthropic entities to support NPH residents and those that are on our wait list. Provide and preserve deeply affordable, high-quality family housing. Increase supply of deeply affordable housing by at least 150 units per year. Position the NPH as an employer of choice. And continuously improve the organizational performance to retain MTW status and highest HUD performance rating. I'm not sure what that acronym is. So,
this is work. Moving to work. Moving to work is a term. They actually have that term. If you go back to the about area, you'll see the term moving to work on there. Go ahead and read through that. It should say MTW. No. Go to about. Hover over about.
Oh. Moving to work,
Moving to
special
work.
designation awarded by the U.S. Housing Department, Urban Development, established by HUD in 1998. One of the original 39 public housing authorities in the country to earn MTW status, affording agencies budget flexibility while providing an opportunity to modify and amend applicability with the intent of developing unique innovative solutions for localized housing challenges. Using MTW designation for local authorities to develop and test innovative programs in key areas for cost savings, self-sufficiency, and housing choice. Okay, that just sounds like a copy. Like, that just sounds like buzzwords. So, what is moving to work exactly?
Moving to work, in the simplest way that I can explain, is it's an obfuscation, if I'm being very real about that. Because basically what they're saying here is that, hey, we're being cost effective and stuff like that. What's actually happening is that, for how it's going, is that a lot of the people who are in these programs have basically pseudo-attached townhomes or live in apartments where they pay practically pennies on a dollar. Pennies for the dollar.
Uh-huh.
and which the question of how much are they paying gets called into question. If you go to the about hover over about again and go to annual report, you can show the quote annual report.
These programs, because I saw the word Section 8 housing being thrown around inside of the MTW section, and the thing that I don't understand is you're making what is effectively New York styled cost rent controlled buildings.
Mm-hmm.
And then MTW is supposed to be you're sending people around to different homes for them to stay in for shelter.
Yep. So it's not just one family inside of a home. It's numerous families inside of a home.
They're building high-rises, they're sending people to other people's places. But okay, you're sending people around to different places. You're housing them, you're feeding them, you're giving them government subsidies. You're even hiring them for work, as well as paying their workers' comp and all this other shit. Where is the permanent housing to then provide for these additional families? Shouldn't the goal be one house, one family?
That is the goal, but because there is limited space in Minneapolis and in Minnesota, because we have a very strict anti-deforestation of our homes in this area, there is very rigid movement around.
Okay.
So, what you will now notice is a cascade effect of limited resources on top of that, while saying that everything is fine. So, I wasn't too surprised when somebody called it out when that video happened, because then you have these things happening, where you can obviously look to where the evidence is, and you'll get a metric ton of very, 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 very large scale things going on, where it's like, none of this is making sense where you are pulling this from.
Mm-hmm.
Because how are you getting this?
Yeah, because there's just multiple housing projects here that are supposed to be responsible for the siting of the project. Also, I like how we're using black people as the sell point for this.
Mm-hmm.
So, you want people to have stable homes and stable schools as a means of having a partnership to apply a means of adding funding to propose to a budget to close, quote, the gap of expansionary requirements for these people. So you build the high-rises. You build the high-rises so you can house them, so that children have schools that they can go to. For the area of town where you're building these projects, you're opening 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different types of voucher programs based on this project alone. And it's all being done to make sure that you are making more and more of the anticipated completion of these potential duplexes that you're making. Oh, no, even worse. You've got triplexes and duplexes.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, there are definitely real people that are getting them. This is a current homeowner that was formerly a resident that probably had to live in such housing problems with a normal renovated family home where you probably have these packed in like normal sardines on any kind of residential. So, kind of like what they do in Fort Benning. You've got two houses. They're separated in like a dividing line. One side is one side, the other side is the other side. The amenities are copied immediately over to each other. Very comparative to starter homes, that it's one house of a certain type, and it's just a matchbox with a fucking garage. Compared to this, which looks like it is not wheelchair accessible, stair units. That would be the equivalent of a project, like what already exists inside of your state, just like it does in mine. But all of these different modernizations, especially for high rises, which, okay, they want to build, so they're building big and they're building far. Going back to the map, I think I've seen a couple of them in the background. I don't think Camera Mall had some. I think the other one had more of them. Because I would assume those buildings in the distance here are the high-rise complex.
That is Riverside Plaza that you're seeing.
Those buildings in the distance are...
Those are the high-rises. But those are not part of the NPHA.
Oh, who are they a part of then?
Riverside Plaza is a part of Riverside Plaza. Riverside Plaza is its own other entity of its own.
Who runs Riverside Plaza then?
Riverside Plaza is basically a... Hold on. Go ahead and take a look at Riverside Plaza. Like, type it into Google Maps. You'll experience that. But Riverside Plaza is a hodgepodge of everybody. They are part of what is known as Sherman Associates. They're their own management property company. But this is Riverside Plaza. This area is fucking huge. And by huge, I mean it's fucking massive. It is extraordinarily massive. Like, you see this everywhere in Minneapolis. Because they have locations in... Because this is the one specifically on... Yep, this is the exact one I'm mentioning.
The shit looks like it's meant to be a stand-in for a mega city duplex when they make movies. This looks like Cabrini Greens to me. I feel like I'm looking at the building that you're going to make the next Candyman in.
Now, fun little side story. My father-in-law, actually, he used to be a maintenance worker for these specific apartment buildings. And he has some choice words about the smaller people that lived in there. But that's neither here nor there. Regardless, these places that people live inside, they're depressing.
This looks fucking depressing.
But yeah, so this is Riverside Plaza. Riverside Plaza is fucking huge. And then you can see the ugly Alienware Tech Stadium in that self-same picture. But yes, that's how huge they are. Oh, here's a panoramic view of them. Here you go.
Lovely.
So yeah, in case there's a scaling picture for you of how large they are.
I'm uncomfortable with how much glass they have.
What makes you say that, Carl?
Because it's just, it's floor-length glass coverage all the way up and over. These are the same windows from the outside and inside of this interior picture. This shit is super highly unsafe. I don't care if it's tempered glass or fucking not. I would like to have a window and a sill and make sure that sill is gated if I'm that high up in a high-rise. The building obviously has copy and pasted apartments.
Yep. And they are, and that is just one tower out of, I believe, 3 there? If I'm not mistaken from what it showed.
And you got little fucking bullshit baby-ass guardrails. Motherfuckers are gonna throw themselves off that way too fucking easy.
There have been multiple cases of it already happening.
Why even fucking have it? Why even build it like this? If it's gonna be a fucking high-rise that looks like a megacity block, then at least build it like a safe high-rise that's a megacity block. What's the point of the goddamn painted squares on the tiles on the outside of the fucking building? So that people have a nice view on the way fucking down? Yeah, that's what I want to have when I go into my suicidal housing complex. I want to jump off the building and be like, ooh, abstract! Ah!
I'm so sorry, Yap-In. To be fair, if I wasn't living here, I'd be living in
Nigga, you live like this!
The moderately bougie place with my father.
Nigga, you live in this!
Sorry? You cut out there?
You live in this?
No, I don't live in this. I don't want to dox my location, but like I live in extraordinarily safer downtown Minneapolis.
I wouldn't be comfortable having anyone I know live like that.
No. I don't live there. I don't live anywhere near there. I pity the people that do actually live there. Because they are constantly depressed, and they are in a fucking travesty of state. I know a few people who come to my bank that do in fact live there. And they look always stressed. They look like they haven't slept in days. And they just look extremely unfocused.
That is a horrible kind of building complex to make. It doesn't look like it's meant to be affordable for anyone. Not even for the people it's intended to be built by. And I'd be annoyed if it was funded for by the state, but you're telling me that it's individual partners. So clearly they are cutting corners.
If I were to go find out... Hold on. Hell, I'll even go look at, like, a one-bedroom. Why not? One bedroom, one bath. So Sherman Associates actually has multiple locations where they are. They are in Colorado, Florida, Iowa, Minnesota, Missouri, and Wisconsin. I'm just going to go look at an apartment in Minneapolis. Let's see this. One bedroom, one bath. Why not? Because they do have multiple areas that they do have their claim in. But I'm curious what apartments they even have. Apparently, that's what they have there. Yes, it is depression. It is mass depression on a fucking infinite scale. And that is just one area of... I think that's like one of the many areas that I have seen that makes me absolutely upset. For some reason, it does not want to load right now. Why don't you want to load? Please load for me. Okay, hold on. Okay, thank you, apartments.com. Now, Riverside Plaza. Interesting. Okay, so that property is full. That property is full, meaning that it is a full residence inside and outside of those buildings. They said, because they're showing me nearby rentals, and the nearby rentals are fucking expensive. But these are on like various like, because one is on University Avenue, and that's the one bed there is $2,000 per month.
2,000 fucking dollars a month?
Not for that place in particular, but hold on, I'll show you what it looks like. If you'll show me the exterior, please. $2,000 for a place like not for that. not for that place. They're not showing me the cost of there, but from what it's showing, Riverside Plaza Apartments, a 1-bedroom in that place is $1,100 for Riverside Plaza, the place I just showed you all. The place that they have, which is extremely better looking, and I'll even send this to you. They want for this apartment for a 1-bedroom like $2,000. So there you go. There's another area that's like located there.
Try to pull it up in a second.
Yep. Unfortunately, it's run by one of the worst property management companies of all time. And I do mean that legitimately. It is one of the worst property managements in the entirety of Minnesota. I think largely as a whole. Is run by a management company called Bigos Management Properties. Bigos is extremely bad on how they what's it called? How they manage their properties, because Bigos does not do any sort of maintenance work. Unless it is for the more wealthier side of them. So there it is. There's an apartments.com of that.
Okay, see, this is the night and day difference between the fucking Cabrini Green shit and an actual livable high-rise building that looks like it was designed for humans to actually build a life out of. If just a livable life. The insides obviously look better, but 190 to 9149, that is who the fuck is living in this kind of property, making any amount of money to pay that as a monthly price.
Another thing that I never mentioned about the Riverside Plaza apartments that I should explain now. I want you to go ahead and ask how many units are in that one building.
How many units are in this? How many units are in this building?
Not for Riverside Plaza specifically, not Expo.
Okay, for Riverside Plaza, yeah. How many?
1,303 units.
And what do they charge them at rent at Riverside?
At Riverside, for a 1-bedroom, it was hold on, wait. Do I actually have it here, or is it going to be? One. By the way, that is also another rent-controlled area, so you do have to have a. So there's that. But for it, studios were $1,091. 1-bedrooms are about $1,135, and 2 bedrooms are for $2,000. For Riverside Plaza, the brutalist thing.
Okay,
The brutalist apartment.
that's probably a lot more accessible, but that's still a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Because that means at minimum you have to have at least, if you're going rational, that person needs to make enough in a month that they can cover their rent and then have the ability to pay livings and expenses. Because I don't think all of that pays into everything for rent, does it?
That I do believe is including the utilities.
Okay. Assuming that rent and utilities are covered under the price of your monthly rent, you still have to actually furnish the home. But let's say we're all African American men. We don't need a lot. It's chair, a bed, your gaming setup, your gaming rig. You need to have the ability to afford food. You have to have the ability to afford gas. You need the ability to afford the car, to avoid the tag money for that car, to have the gas, to then use it. Lord knows, I looked over that and I saw not one, not two, not three, but at least 17 bikes all the way up to the fucking... I don't even know how high that went. 17th story? Against the grates of those windows and that shitty fucking suicide railing. So, it is the case that if they are charging that much, and let's say that's where some of the Somali people are, right? You got some blacks, you got some whites, you got some Somalis, you've got some fucking Indians,
Hispanics.
I don't care, I don't care who. If they're living out of those complexes, and then the fucking complexes were like a street or down, 2 streets, 4 streets down, a couple of blocks away from these, I'm going to call them cultural enrichment centers, I would be able to say, okay, cool, Somali, they made a little Somali town. That's no problem. You got little Chinatowns everywhere, you've got little racist towns everywhere, you've got little Asian towns everywhere. There's always going to be a cultural hobble that'll be made by a group of people that are going to organize themselves around the places where they live, because it's where they live. I would expect a Somali to have a Somali business center where Somali people live, but I have not once seen those living conditions. And if they're supposedly earning enough that they can be able to pay for squaring and housing, and it's going through the state, because they're getting it from the state. Why would they not already be getting benefits from the state? And all this other shit. If they're packing them in like sardines over there, and they're then extracting that much value and wealth from those businesses doing fraud, I would question why they don't live in places like this. Because this is much cleaner. Why would they ever afford living in the fucking green stack when they can instead live here? That's just my rational view of how I look at it. That's what I think. Like, it wouldn't make sense to me that they would choose to live like this. Go back to this
Unless
real quick.
there was another motive.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I can't believe that a person would choose to live at Riverside Plaza unless it was a choice that they had to make in order to actually live in the city. Because where would you want to live, chat? Would you want to live here? Would you want to live here? Here, you probably get shanked on your way to school. Here, you could probably homeschool your child. And run a business. And it be affordable, and it be livable, and it be safe. Got a doorman. It's not that far away from everything else that's going to be on the map.
I know when it comes for me. I know where it comes for me. It also is like barely on the edge of North Minneapolis, which North Minneapolis is already a nightmare as is.
Yeah,
and I'm not even going to get into North Minneapolis as a whole, because North Minneapolis is where you will get shanked.
Yeah, because
there is no.
I'm looking at the map right now. The University Avenue location is not that far away from the place that we were just looking.
No, but what you're seeing, where you're aimed at right now, is downtown Minneapolis. Which that
these are across the street from one another. Oh my god.
Yes, they are. It is literally separated by a river that you can literally just go on.
Hey kids, look out the window and wave to the poor people. I want to hang a government official in Minecraft. So this is organized by Sherman Associates, and this is not affiliated with them. Who manages University Avenue?
University Avenue is ran by Big O's, but Big O's is also a problematic company.
So where's the housing that's made by the government? What do they build them?
This is again, once again, subsidized by fucking Minnesota, because again, area, it's all given out to these housing authorities because they themselves are the ones. You know, remember that one particular quote? It's like, you know, that one kid that like got that participation trophy and all got participation trophies because that one mom made us think about it. Yeah, this is it.
Okay.
Yeah, like I'm putting you through the stages of grief.
I'm an ex-government worker. I'm trying. I'm trying. Also, thank you. Are you saying that you've been waiting for me to have a fucking crash out? Is that what you're saying, Callum? I can't believe you. But I see the paperwork. I see the documentation of saying that they're trying to uplift the people in their communities. And all I'm seeing is resident housing controlled by a company. Resident housing controlled by a company. Resident housing controlled by a company. I would pray that when we get to the supposed housing that is made for the Somalis, whoever's owning that business, wherever the fuck that they're living, it more than likely is an LLC that's operated by a Somali.
It is, because MPHA, if you go look at CEO, I'm not...
Is he Somali?
MPHA. Hold on. CEO, Abdi Warsame.
I think it was right here on the agency overview. Yeah. This guy. Ali Morsami became MPH's executive director and CEO in March 2020 as the COVID-19 crisis began taking hold. Through the global crisis, Abdi focused his early work on resident health and safety while gaining his footing as the CEO of the city's largest housing authority. As the world endured to emerge its new normal, he helped chart a new path forward for MPHA that centered on 4 priorities: people, preservation, production, and partnership. Prior to this, he was a member of the Minneapolis City Council representing the 6th Ward since 2014. He was born in Somalia, grew up in London before moving to Minneapolis in 2006, has a BCS in business and a master's degree in international business. He and his family live near Cedar Riverside neighborhood in Minneapolis. Show me the 6th Ward and show me Cedar Riverside. That's what I need right now. Okay. Cedar Riverside is where they built the fucking brutalist picture shit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to contain my anger. And now show me the 6th Ward. I can't spell your fucking city's name.
Yep, there you go.
Okay. So, the 6th Ward consists of Cedar Riverside, Elliott Park, Stephen Squares Longs, Ventura Village, Seward, and Phillips West. It so happens to be that that is also basically almost all immigrants.
Mm-hmm.
And you're telling me, assuming that I can actually look at districts maps from here, if I look at this like this, and this is here, and then I look at the map, and look at this here, and pull back here, you're telling me that across the river, and I don't know how far it has to go for, because I wish it would actually lay it out where it's like I could see the entire 6th Ward from the image of this camera. So you would know better than I would where it starts and where it ends.
I mean, hell, you could... I would show my map, but it would also show my location.
No, I don't need that. Like, so, Ward 6 is to Seward, right? Where does 30th Avenue South start and end?
30th Avenue South starts and ends... So, case of curious of where that starts. 30th Avenue South?
Yeah.
That is right next to... That is right...
Because you
Why
see,
specifically 30th Avenue South starts and ends right where Roosevelt Field is. Roosevelt Field.
Roosevelt Field.
Right there. Yes, Roosevelt Field. That is right next to Lake Hiawatha.
Lake Hiawatha. Lake Hiawatha.
Down there. Zoom
This
in a little
is.
bit.
This
Zoom
one
in,
says
zoom in.
Nokomos.
So go up. Yep.
Okay.
Go up of Lake Nokomis.
So Hiawatha is this bigger one.
Yep.
Outside of
That's
Eric's.
Lake Hiawatha. Right there. So Lake Hiawatha. So there it is. That that smaller one right next to Lake Nokomis.
Mm-hmm.
That is where the end of 30th is.
Okay. So you're telling me that all of these businesses around here, and however they fucking structured this fucking ward, which is made in the most, I don't know who the fuck you're trying to convince this doesn't look like it's like the worst fucking form of gerrymandering I've ever fucking seen, but whatever. Officially here, this says it is the largest East African community, which obviously covers the Somalis, but is also the center of the Native American community in Minneapolis. Where is the Native American Center?
The Native American Center is on Franklin. Across Franklin, that's where a good amount of the Native American ran businesses are, along with some of their housing. There is more in the more downtown Minneapolis area, so hold on. If you take a street view of Franklin Avenue, hold on, if I can find it for you, I can find it for you, because I actually used to live on Franklin.
Franklin Terrace?
West Franklin Avenue. Look through like East and West Franklin Avenue.
East, West Franklin. I'm on East Franklin right now.
Do East Franklin. You are not Franklin. You should find on there, because funnily enough, you are actually very close, because it is on also Seaward Tower West that you are actually close by. So that is not where you need to be.
Mm-hmm.
So hold on.
I'm just sightseeing right now.
Yes, of course. Which, hey, you're gonna have an interesting revelation when you are on Franklin. And I'm going to, and if you don't notice it, I'm just gonna send it to you, and you're gonna realize that there's something that is not inextricably right.
Okay. This is West. And now this is West now. West Franklin.
So West Franklin. I used to live on West Franklin. Go to the east.
West Franklin. East Franklin.
East Franklin Avenue. Yep. So there's East Franklin Avenue. To the left is some. So this is where I actually, because I take transport, this is where I used to be around when I was trying to grab my bus and my train.
Okay.
Zoom in a little bit and then go east. I have so many maps up, it's fucking unreal. So zoom in like deep. So now go west. Keep going west. Stop. No. Second. Oh, just went off. Okay. Good. So go east again slightly and just slowly. Keep going. Stop there. Now zoom in and go slightly to the left. Keep going. Is it not really going to show on here? Oh no, hopefully no. Right where you saw Cedar 94, there's a business there. What business might that be, you might wonder? Cedar 94, is it really not going to show? Okay, so hold on. Apparently it's not going to show because fuck me. Type in Banana Pay LLC.
Banana Pay LCHQ.
Yep. Now zoom in. Well, what do you know? And look where that is.
Next to the Cedar 94 apartments.
Next to the Cedar 94 apartments, which is next to a cooperative, which is also next to several other places.
Okay.
Cedar 94 actually looks somewhat nice.
Okay, this looks actually
Frank-
livable.
Yeah, Franklin looks nice. Franklin looks great. It's also part of Ward 6.
So, you're telling me that this current person sitting on the Minneapolis Board of Housing basically set his fucking own people up with nice indoor swimming pool and a nice indoor living condition with no suicide bars and actual sunken floor windows with central air heating and actual meaningful kitchens that could actually have the ability to cook out of them. And on top of that, with it being his namesake, that he went from basically making luxury living for Somalis to being responsible for building buildings that just don't seem to come up in any part of their projects because they have yet to be completed. And I expect them to be made to the standards of Cedars.
One of them, I believe Lindale Avenue is complete. Is it completed? Lindale Avenue Apartments? Are you actually completed? It is Lindale Plaza, not Lindale Avenue. Was it Lindale Avenue? Hold on. Also, I'm pretty sure that he used to be part of Ward 6, if I'm not mistaken. I think that was
that's what his origin says.
Yeah.
Oh, they even have a fully stocked workout studio, complete with weight machines and a sauna. Anything is limited projects. When the last time you had a sauna was, huh? Some dots are connecting in my head. So there's the doom. Where's my doom for Discord? I'm on Discord. So apparently, I just got a little bit too based, and the racism that was about to come out of my mouth needed to be shut down, chat. That's how you know I'm onto something.
Mm-hmm. And I sat here waiting diligently because I knew it would return.
So, the person that is the housing authority was a member of the 6th Ward and made the Cedar 94 apartments. He effectively is down the street from Banana Pay, where I have only assumed Somalis live the middle high life. And in this moving of money, he becomes hired to the housing board. And the housing board wants to build affordable housing. But building is not finished housing. So, they create a program that is very disingenuously named, because moving to work does not make sense, because I would think that that has to do with actually moving somebody to a job site. Like, they work with Empower, they work with Manpower, they work with People First, People Ready, they work with Surge to get you to an actual job. That's not what it is. It's moving to house, not moving to work. Moving to house. We don't have enough houses for people living in the city, so we're moving you to house with other people in locations that will be a temporary living situation, and also you can receive this help while also still receiving other benefit help from the government. Am I on the right track right now? Marius?
Yep, sorry. Chips in my mouth.
Nothing in your mouth. So, Smalley works himself up, is a proper American citizen, happens to be down the street from a money transfer business, wants people to have affordable housing, puts together housing projects, has at least 6 on the books that are officially reported, but they are not done in completion. This is a plan that has been working since COVID, that is going to work through 2027. The people that don't have housing currently are being sheltered to move to a place where they have housing. We're assuming that it's not the ones...
Duplexes. Yep.
Assuming that it's not the ones that you showed me that look like depressing fucking duplexes and triplexes, and it's not these giant fucking high-rise buildings made to make you feel like you want to jump off them and kill yourself. These people live in these businesses, they live in these places, they live in this cultural center, but you can't see any actual impact of where they are, with the exception of maybe 1 to 2 different places, which only are frequented by Somalis for Somalis, with Somalis. And the only paperwork you have about their business transactions is Banana Pay.
And the government.
And the government.
And the government, yeah. And then the companies themselves who are paying their workers.
And we don't have any of the names of some of those kinds of businesses that hire them.
Just pick a name out of the bucket, quite literally. Because you could say... Because literally how they label their business names are like Star Healthcare, Premium Healthcare, The Best Healthcare. I mean literally like that.
Yeah,
I'm not even joking, that's how it is all labeled.
Yep, we saw that from the investigative report, but I was very curious about like any of the other shit there, because I am very, 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 very questioning. I'm asking questions, not stating things as a state of fact, but I have a statement that I'm pretty sure is a state of fact. You have a person who effectively is making it a straight line project on how people of his nationality that live in the 6th Ward, because why would he not care about his constituents in the 6th Ward? They probably got him elected to the position. People in the 6th Ward basically have a person who is streamlining a process to get them government assistance and aid. That's the thought that started in my head. That business official is then also porting them around to housing and homes. And they're highly resistant to questions about their living condition, when actually you'd hope that they'd want to do business with people who would want to inject money into their communities. But they're highly resistant to anyone knowing anything, especially people with cameras. There was maybe one person that I saw. It was this black guy that was a part of Nick Shirley's report, who was saying that his people were dying some shit. I don't know who this young man is. Maybe you can find out because you live there. Let me go find his fucking video so I can show you. Wasn't he here in the beginning? Yes. So, this black individual right here, this guy, the one with the glasses, do you know who this person is just by looking at him?
Him? No, I don't, unfortunately. I'm sorry.
Because he was front and center next to Shirley when he was talking about this. Because he was one of the people that was specifically addressing that woman. I don't remember if they got her fucking name. But they walked through all of these buildings where this housing meeting was happening. And he was one of the people who came up and addressed questions to her about it. Because he was there, and then he speaks about it here. And then he confronts her here as well. Specifically asking if they're going to hold Governor Walz accountable for the fraud that's happening with the Somalis. I have no recollection of anyone ever saying who the name of this individual is. But I have to imagine this is somebody who either lives on an upper middle class side, because he's up here with his backpack and his fucking technology and his shit and his fucking $20 haircut. But I'm being an asshole right now.
A little bit.
I haven't seen a single person show me examples of people advocating at these meetings for the people who live in this section and area. So I have to imagine it's the board head or wherever is the current lead of the sixth ward. Do they have this on the websites right now? Who's responsible for the wards? No, yes it does. Ward 6 is Jamal Osman. Who's Jamal Osman?
Jamal Osman.
Oh my god, they actually have a pronoun section. Okay, so this is the sitting council member of Ward 6 from Minneapolis. He was elected to city council in a special election in 2020. So, when one stepped up to the Minnesota Housing Authority, this one slid in from that special election of him probably vacating the position, right? That's how
most likely.
That's how your government does the voting.
Yep, with the special elections, yes.
So, has anybody contacted Jamal Osman about this? Since these would basically be his people and his area?
I'm not too sure. See, I don't live in Ward 6. So I wouldn't necessarily have that information readily available.
Do you know who your ward councilman is?
If I'm not mistaken, my ward councilman, I live in the ward right next to it. I live in Ward 7, which Ward 7 is kind of the bougie, the very bougie area. Because I can get paid to afford to live there. But my person who is Ward 7 is like, it's Katie Cashman.
Jesus Christ! It's the literal who's who. I question.
Katie Cashman, Ward 7.
Yes, the other white one. No, the third white one. Look at it, chat. It's the who's who of the minority board. Again, being an asshole, but honestly, this is the definition of diversity, children. Okay, Katie Cashman, redhead, has a good smile. She is responsible for the western edges of Minneapolis, which includes downtown. So you're over here on the west side.
Yes, I am. West side. Yeah, but yes, that is where I reside. I have mainly been living there because I've been predominantly in Ward 7 throughout most of my time in Minneapolis. Other than that, I've lived either outside of Minneapolis or in northern Minneapolis.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Katie lives...
I don't want to go back to northern Minneapolis ever.
Okay, so Katie lives in the Square Loring Heights neighborhood and grew up in Minneapolis, living and swimming around Cedar Lake and actually serving at Uptown Diner. So that is...
Diner, I think, still is around?
So she was actually in the area called Stevens Square, which is over here.
Mm-hmm.
So she literally grew up not that far away from Cedar.
Yeah, so she knows what it's like. Or at least should.
I'm so interested about questioning this lady and asking her about this, because I swear she would probably be one of the few people who would know this answer for this question. Because here's my concern. Has there ever been examples of governmental defrauding from council members?
Not that I can think of.
Because what it sounds like to me, with what I'm thinking of in terms of the shit happening here, with the Public Housing Authority, who I imagine works with the councilmen, right? Hand in hand.
Yeah.
So, if the housing and the finances and the human resources and the legal and all the blah 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 is all about helping people, especially with these housing choice vouchers, so that you can be able to administer the housing choice voucher, the project-based vouchers, and the special initiative vouchers as the first point of contact for people that are trying to get private market rentals that are fitting for participants and then support the deeply affordable housing developments. It would be the focus of any person working with the housing authority to also hand in hand understand the ground conditions of the people that are attempting to work through their poverty status, work to achieve a higher living quarter status, and have actual housing that meets the standards of what they require for the people that are living in the state and that are asking for the assistance and help. Especially if they are people that come from that area and know how downtrodden it is. Because that fucking eyesore across the goddamn river is fucking abysmal. And yet, even though the housing that lives there, that is built there by that other business, by Atmos, is privately secured, the fact they don't have any examples of their physical final works is a bit it's a bit concerning to me, because the annual report says whatever the fuck it says, because the leadership of the housing authority, white, and then here's Rashid, white, all upper middle class people.
There is another page that is there where it does have the finance and policies report there in the Minneapolis Public Housing Authority. It's not in the annual report, it is individual. So you have to look through a bunch of shit. So go ahead and go back to the MPHA. And then you'll look at policies, financials, and reports. Exactly. And you'll see the PDF files that are all right here.
Okay, they have audited financial statements. I would want to see financial statements going all the way back from 2019 to 2025. So this is homework. I'm not going to be able to do this live. I'm not going to destiny everybody. But here's the thought that went through my head as the racism started to percolate through my blood. You have a housing authority leader who came up and is basically the face representative of upstanding Somalis. And I have not seen a single person show me these upstanding Somalis that look down upon the grifting Somalis. That's how I'm going to define this. The upstanding people and the ones that are willing to call the low quality social standard Somalis niggas. I have not once seen a Somali come up and be like, oh no, those are Somali niggas. Those people are the scammers. I'm a good person. I work regularly. I go to fucking Winn-Dixie. Y'all ain't got Winn-Dixie. Be like Publix or something. But, they have businesses that only interact with each other inside of a housing quarter. They are centered inside of Ward 6, which is also managed by somebody who apparently unless he's not Somali, is also Somali. The financial quarter only ever invests themselves with one particular business where they all send money back to Somali through Banana Pay. Most of it is up on the up and up because they all pay cash.
I didn't say it was just the one, but it's
one of the
main
ones.
one.
It's one of the ones. There was multiple Banana Pay offices. It's just that the headquarters is inside of Ward 6.
Yeah.
I think there was another 2, 3.
Mm-hmm.
No. Because I see an LLC location for Tawakal Express on Pillsbury, Cedar, McKnight.
Mm-hmm.
So 4?
Yep. Multitudes.
You've got this block district that has, honestly, better housing than we have in our housing authority in Georgia. And they are supposed to be building houses that look like that for everybody. But it also happens to be the case that because of how Minnesota handles their defects and their SNAP benefits, that it looks like it's a direct program that looks to benefit the lowest of the low. And that it's possible that the lowest of those lows are living in relative wealth while defrauding the government out of potentially hundreds of thousands, millions, especially if you're telling me that they're moving them into households of stuff. Because here's the thing that I question. The people that are being moved with moving to work, with their program, moving to live, but I'll use the acronym. The people who are being housed with other people, do they then become applicable for SNAP benefits to the standard of the household placement because of the MPH's program organization?
And this is where it begins.
Because if they're being moved together into housing that is being managed by government authority for the state, then obviously they're going to send them to jobs to go earn and work while paying them some level of subsidy, because that's in the paperwork. They're paying everything, including utilities and finances, but these are being operated by the state. It is part of the state's program. So wouldn't they just be getting basically free rent? So they can get up on their feet.
Yeah. But the thing is that they're still on there.
So do they have anything like exit interviews of people who are no longer going to be benefiting from? Okay, perfect example. I know exactly what I'm about to be on. So, when you show me an example of this woman right here, Jamie, she doesn't have, last name not given. Actually, is it?
No.
No, it just says Jamie. So,
Jamie Brown.
Jamie Brown. Okay, so, Jamie Brown. She went from MPH housing to home ownership. Jamie got notified her family was being called up from the wait list. Couldn't be more ideal because it was increasingly difficult to afford the family apartment as a single mom of 4. Her and her 4 kids moved into a scattered site family home in North Minneapolis and for 16 years raised her family there. All my kids grew up in that house. Blah, blah, blah. Moved to another scattered family home site in South Minneapolis to be next to her extended family. Then landed a new job working as a loan fund manager for a Native American nonprofit organization.
Yep.
With this new job and larger paycheck stabilizing her life, Native's property manager began to encourage her to consider home ownership as the next step. It was through this encouragement she realized she could afford a mortgage and maintain a home of her own. Blah, 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 blah. Purchased a single-family household in South Minneapolis with the guidance of a housing counselor through her employer, now living in a forever home a few miles from where she raised her family in public housing. So, are there exit interviews with people like Jamie where they show their financials, how they went from the process of moving to work, how you place them, and how you place them with other people with similar stories of their own? Or is it that you're taking people from these neighborhoods and you're placing them with other people who basically are all subsidizing the government through these programs, but they're doing the equivalent of living like we're for kings and queens? Not lifting a finger, not doing any work, not improving their life standard, not improving their their living quality, and they just keep getting moved from place to place while still absorbing government funds.
That I do not know.
Nigga, that's what we need to
wouldn't
find
know.
out.
Yep. And that is the crux of the situation that I'm seeing arising. There's a speculative issue that arises with that unfortunately I cannot be the one to go delve into that deeper, because if I go, they're going to be very much so on my ass about it, and I cannot.
Because it'll risk your job in the financial quarter.
Correct. See, I can only watch from a very specific angle. That angle being, of course, through where the checks and where money goes. I cannot do boots on the ground. This would be more so for a journalist. But the journalists around here are not going to be... The only one that I can even fathom of possibly doing a lead case on this would be, like, Sophia Norwitz. But I think that she's just chilling out because this isn't this isn't a massive situation going on, and 2, she's probably focusing on gaming journalism right now.
Maybe. I did not think about the fact that Sophia Norwitz actually lives in Minneapolis.
She does. She was one of the boots on ground during the George Floyd situation.
Yeah. Because, like, this is a question for your fucking state representative. This is a question for your ward, technically.
It's a question for the government as a whole inside the state.
I don't know who your reporting officers are. Because I would imagine they should have a standard to report, where if they witness or have a suspicion of any kind of potential fraud from people that are working through the authority and working with the housing, that they would have to be... that they are mandated to report, because if they don't report that they are witnessing fraud, that they then become partial to the fraud. I think I need you to help me set up an interview with your ward council, because I have questions that only a business official would be able to answer.
I don't know how I mean, I actually could technically anonymously connect you, but I would have to I'd be very fucking diligent with that.
No, basically, you could try to have them just talk to me and then them spend time on their busy schedule, but since she's your ward representative of your council, you just simply ask questions that you would have as a person for the program, because that would be what you would do. So I'd have to give you a list of questions, and then you ask them of her as a Minnesotan person, and then later I attempt to place a conversation with the office and ask specifically about the state of the city and what she's witnessed being a part of the council, growing up with it, and as well as being a representative of Ward 7, and ask about Ward 6 and this condition happening there.
Yeah.
Either way.
Yeah, either way.
So, like, everything that is the recipe for disaster for having people potentially defraud the government is set up entirely and centered entirely inside of Ward 6. From fucking West to East Franklin, and then Cedar itself, and then a couple of fucking places all the way down to the south of... What was that fucking street? Not Stevens Squares. All the way to the south of... I'd probably say as far as that park. So as far as fucking Diamond Lake, I guess. Crosstown Highway. That entire area is just Somali Central. And
go ahead. Sorry.
So, like, it's Somali Central. Nobody knows what goes on except the Somalis. No Somalis are talking. Nobody can say what they do for a living, what they do as a project, their local festivals, unless it's being ran through Midtown. And it's pretty much just, no, this place doesn't exist. It's Kakariko Village. It doesn't exist. And it's not Kakariko Village from Ocarina of Time. It's Kakariko Village from Twilight Princess. This place is a ghost town, and it doesn't exist. But it does exist, and the people are real. But nobody can tell you where they got their money from. That's suspicious. That's suspicious. But I am just a black man. Boy, we went on a fucking road trip because of you. Thanks.
Yeah, sorry about that, because I'm the boots on the ground here.
It is about to be 5:45, oh my god.
Yeah. That was what I want to say about... That was... But according to everything, that was... I want to say... yes. That was about roughly nearly 3 hours worth of delivery. That was enlightening. Thank you, Juan Wick. Thank you very much for that. As you can tell, I have a lot of information about this based off of just how I lived here and everything along with that. So, needless to say, let this be a glimpse, a preview behind the curtain of what's kind of going on. Because as much as Nick's was very eye-opening and a lot of other stuff has been going on, this is what I have from this perspective. Because you can go and talk to your local governors about this. There's a lot of things going on.
Okay. I have notes and I have questions. I need to put them in a document and organize them. I'm going to end because I need to cook for dinner. And then I'm going to probably take some time to write some things down and talk to some people because I've received some DMs I need to answer now. But thank you for coming in, Marcus. I'm sorry, Saf. I will make sure that you get extra time next Sunday. And I don't think I'm coming back tonight, but I will be live tomorrow night. And I will be putting my foot directly in Irrelevant's ass on the 5th. That's 6 p.m. Eastern Standard on WIC TV, everybody.
Alright. Take care.
Yes, thank you everyone who came in and called in and checked in. And I will see you all next time. Same Carl time, same Carl channel. Good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.